Are you ready to get started? Let's do it. Sup, nerds? Happy Wednesday. Sadly, can't do the usual 8-hour stream today because I have an event at 6 and it is currently 2. So we only got a few hours, but I wanted to take the time to cover as much as we can in the interim. Thank you all. Sorry for the jump scare. And yes, I have a new haircut. I also didn't style it fully. Yeah, the response from Sam was interesting. I think it was pretty good, all things considered. Definitely not like something that went through PR and like the team at the company that wants him to talk a certain way. It screams like, I had feelings, so I wrote it, which I dig. I like that the CEO of one of the fastest growing, biggest private startups in the world is where he is and is not being like censored by his own company. Somebody asked about CashieOS. Not yet. I have plans. We will. But I'm going to set things up so I can talk about that today. Thank you for the gifts. I'll come back in just a sec. Because I want to make this into a video. And if I make this into a video, I can hint at the end, I think I found a solution. Linux. Video coming soon. A cringe thumbnail for the Kashi video. Quality. Learning system for LLMs. I'll take a look at this later. I don't have time to look at too much new stuff today because I have to cover a lot in not much time. Thank you, Dom, for the resub. Hope you're doing well. It was way before we went live. Well, thanks for that. We got Zep and V with the Prime as well. Thank you for that. Pistoa with the 41 months of support. Gusty with the cheer. Jeth with the 7 months. OW with the 2 months. NMG, the legend, 31 months. Damn, hope you're doing well. Oh, fuck. Yeah, don't worry about subs here, man. Nothing to worry about. I hope you get things figured out and end up with a cool gig. Definitely want your eyes on some of the things I've been working on because one of those things may or may not have made an auth service. We'll talk about it. I want to do a lot more auditing and prep work first. But I have been begging many companies to make this, and none of them did. So I did. And now you can add auth in 2 lines without having to sign up for Google or whatever the fuck. Soon TM. It's one of many things I'm working on right now. I've never had so many projects. It's really fun, but like, goddamn, like, yeah. More convenient than WorkOS even. The convenience depends on like how big is the thing you're trying to do and how much work does it take to get there. It's a ratio of both. If you're trying to make something that an enterprise is able to adopt and sign a deal with, WorkOS is the right call. But if you're trying to make something actually but if you're trying to make something quick in like a one-click sign in and identify user button, WorkOS makes it a lot more friction than I would like it to be. It's still comically better than solutions in the past, and it's one of the easiest safe solutions to do things right. But I'm working on this specifically for when I want to do things wrong. And yeah, I know the GitHub isn't linked yet because I haven't open sourced it yet. I'm waiting until I'm a little further. Clerk's UX and DX is definitely best in class still. But I still have to like go to Clerk, sign up, add all of the right things in all of the right places, go provision the JWT or the JWKT or whatever the fuck in the dashboard so that I can link it to something like Convex. And then I have to go to the Google dashboard to go sign up for the production credentials and then add all the environment variables across all the environments. Everything that can be done within Clerk is really good. Everything that has to be done outside of Clerk is less good. Yeah, it's awesome seeing Lakshay. Been a bit. Yeah, FS2 is what you're thinking of. It's the package is FS2 CLI. It's not username password. It's just Google Auth. It's just OAuth. Interesting. I actually don't know if I'll need this. A lot of this is configured in Cache already, where everything like auto reloads on change, and it's so nice. Well, let me take a look at that. Wrong button. Don't need to pop that out. I ordered a HP because it was on a crazy fucking sale. Some reason pasted links are not appearing in stream view, but they are in the board view. This might be because I have a bunch of filters in this view. Yeah. I would like this to stay in a separate view for the interim. And I'll come here and pick the ones I want to bring over by just moving them over by hand. Yeah, we'll go over all that in a sec. Just prepping everything else still. Oh god, what's Rossman doing now? Oh yeah, the Google SEO shit's obnoxious. But yeah, so I got the HPZ book because there was a really good deal. I got the 128 gig one for like $3,000 because they had a crazy fucking sale. Yeah, the blind Sam hate is kind of insane. I'm not gonna lie. Been seeing a ton of that lately. And we thank all the people who are going crazy with subs. We got Rafa here with the 10 bomb. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Mitch with the 5 as well earlier. We got Clement with the prime. Raphael Tabs with the 4 months of support. Omir with the prime as well. I think I got you, Flamey. Regardless, appreciate you. Scan Voltura with the prime. Satimo with the 3 months of support. Peter Jarian with the 9 months. And Manupa Dev with the 25. Thank you all again. Raphael from the Neri tweet. Can't say for the stream, but happy to see you. Happy supporting a framework you can't live without. Never thought you'd see that. Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, Rafa. No worries not being able to stay. The deeper Neri stream is going to be either later this week or early next week. I am waiting until the new laptop shows up before going too hard on it, but I'm very excited to. I got one shot by it and used it for all my code 2 days ago. Started setting up another laptop and realized, oh, I have the one I want coming. I'm just going to wait for that. But then I was split between computers and I had to go do graphics work. So I moved back to my MacBook temporarily and I'm going insane that I can't slide around anymore. I miss it so much. It's one of the Strix laptops. If I recall, it's one of the ones that has like the AMD APU all in one. So I didn't have the trackpad stuff set up properly initially. So I went really hard on Neri without a trackpad and loved it. Now that I have it working with a trackpad, I love it even more. Oh, what's this being linked for? Neri's the only reason that I'm switching. Like it comes down to Neri entirely. Like I have been waiting for a while for like a UI for Linux that lets me have a little more control. Is the best I can put it. Like I wanted something that was different, not just another tiling window manager. Tiling window managers don't solve any of my problems. I want something dynamic. I'll do this rant more in detail in the future. Thank you, Manupa. One sec. Let me get this thought out of my head. I will do the proper why I like Neri so much and why I made the move thing in the future. But this thing Pranch just said is how I feel. It feels like infinite desktop space. Every other solution is too rigid, and you can define it. Like, it's flexible in terms of where you put the boundaries, but the boundaries are very rigid. And with that, it like means flexible workload. Like, I want to have these 3 windows again below is non-trivial. And if I want to adjust a given layout, like I want one more window in a tiling setup, it breaks everything in that window. Like if I have 2 terminals and my editor in a tile window manager and I want to bring in my browser, I got to go make a whole new view for that browser. Something I've always actually liked a lot, and I get shit for it, Command Tab. The thing I like about Command Tab is that it is flexible based on what you've done most recently, where the most recent thing is 1 to the right, the next most recent thing is 2 to the right, then 3, then 4. This is a UI that might not have that much power, but it adapts to you with how you're using the computer as you use the computer. And that's what I'm liking about these paper style window managers, and in particular with Neri, is I don't feel like I have to set up my setup in a specific way. I feel like the setup occurs as a result of me using the computer. And that's what I like so much about it, and why I'm so excited to like talk about it more in the very near future. But it's going to be a little bit. Yeah, it's magical. I cannot wait to like show it off more for you guys. There is no world that we can get proper Neri like functionality in macOS. It's I will approve you for that. Thank you. But I don't know the right way to explain this, because like obviously I'm a bit of a Mac fanboy. I'm an Apple guy. I have been for a while. The level of depth that Neri goes to in terms of like how much it takes over your OS, you can't do it from something else. Like you have to start from scratch for it to work. I'm actually a little scared to film the video because I have my whole setup set up for 30 FPS and it won't do it justice. Things move so smoothly that it feels like a demo. It feels like I filmed myself going around in Figma because it's that level of smoothness. It's just not viable. Yeah, paperwm.spoon is the closest we have on macOS, and it is not close at all. I don't want a macOS style UI in Linux. I like the Linux UI a lot. My issue with using Linux as my daily driver has nothing to do with how it looks anymore. It is almost entirely things like I can't use a lot of the applications that I miss. Like I can't use Affinity Photo, and there's no real graphic software on Linux. If you think otherwise, I'm sorry, you're just wrong. I miss copy pasting across all of my devices, because with Apple, that's like a built-in thing that's pretty nice. Honestly, that's kind of it. I'm surprised at how smooth it has been. Also, yeah, the hardware sucks. I'm hoping that the HP helps a lot there. We'll see. Yeah, I'm using CachyOS. I don't think it matters too much, but the CachyOS plus Neri build is actually really good. For some reason, on first boot, it fails to boot the shell around Neri, but after you reboot, it's fine. That was a fun thing. I learned Neri without a shell, which was very interesting. Yo, Wabo with the 50 bomb. God damn, man. Thank you so much for the support. Absolute legend out here. And we got Fantandy 2000 with the Prime. XHG negative the 33 months. I think I got the rest of you, but goddamn Wabo with the crazy gift bomb. Appreciate that a ton. Okay, let's figure out what we're talking about today. I started to buy a bunch of things. People were asking me useful stuff before, and I lost track of it all. I doesn't have a high-res wireless codec. I wish I could do that one quickly. High fidelity Bluetooth has a lot of edges, in particular latency and interference. The interference is the big one. As you increase bandwidth, the amount that interference matters exponentially increases. And Apple does actually have lossless, high-res, wireless Bluetooth codecs in their AirPods, and you can only use it with the Vision Pro because it's the only device where the device connecting to the AirPods is close enough they don't have to worry about interference. It's Apple's insane like consistency standards that make that not viable. An effect article from Kit. Save that. Yeah, Noctilia is the one that comes with what's it called? CachyOS. This is what I have, but it didn't boot the first boot on either of the machines I installed it on. I had to reboot after, but then it worked fine. Asahi is not viable. I am sorry. I love it. It's so cool it exists. Asahi is not viable for a bunch of fucking reasons. Like, did you know it doesn't work on M3 or M4 processors? It's only M1 and M2. There, I literally can't use it. Like, it's not like, oh, it's not quite where I want it. No, it's literally unusable on my machine. I cannot install it. I did see the Anthropic ads against OpenAI. Oh shit, Apple did a wireless talk? This sounds very fun. Save that to watch later for sure. Yeah, no, it's not a solution for much, sadly. It's like cool that it exists, but ARM support for desktop Linux is just not there yet at all. I tried installing, I had a friend who wanted me to set up my like Neri setup on their Dell with one of the Snapdragon processors, and it's not viable. I just did like a stock Ubuntu image that they had set up specifically for this type of computer, and it was so fucking broken. Like the screen was flickering constantly. I saw State of JS happened. I haven't went through it yet. What about AI and how to use it effectively? Interesting, Shabam. I will. You fucker. God damn it. Gonna have to fire you right after you join, fucker. Thank you for trusting you. Ooh. This I'm gonna put in the AI keeps finding security things. AI keeps finding exploits. Here we are. Good shit. That'll be a fun one. Okay, let's figure out what we're doing today. This is a cool concept, but not really something I think I have anything to say on. I have a general vibe idea I was thinking of for this. Like, will AI bring back native apps? I have a lot to say on this one. Multi-session handler with Tmux Sessionizer integrated with Waybar and Hyperland to add notification support. Minimal implementation. That's really cool to hear. I used to be an i3 guy. Hyperland is really cool, but again, I didn't think tiling was the solution to my problems. Of course, Moltbook got fucking hacked. I saw the Voxtrol stuff. I don't really have anything to say. Somebody linked a Simon Willison thing about it. Thank you, Maria. I will probably not have much to say about that. It's cool that they did it, but yeah. Ooh, creative writing bench. This seems very out of date, but it has Gemini 3 Pro. Weird. Interesting. I gotta dig into this more later. I was looking for this specifically yesterday, something like this. I will be setting this up after stream. Thank you. This looks cool, but I want to like wait till it's a little further along and other people have built cool products and demos around it instead of it just being the model. I'm going to lean on Electron for the native apps. Don't worry. That's the plan. Links you sent. Simon, you had writing bench. NVIDIA deal. I don't think there's enough for me to talk about there. AI didn't break copyright law. All of my like copyright law adjacent things I've done about AI, like nobody gave a fuck. I think it's really interesting as a topic, but it's impossible to make it clickable. AI cloud hack stuff I am planning already. AI killing SaaS. Funny enough, I actually have that in my list here. The death of SaaS. If putting else, I think I have this one saved in my this is what started the like AI hacking video plan that I wrote forever ago. What's this? Yeah. Like, yeah, things are changing fast. It is what it is. I don't think it's dying so much as shifting. The multi-agent of a VSC is cool, but again, don't really know how to like brand that or make a video that somebody would click on about it. Thank you, Taki, for the Prime. I think I got you Fantandy. Regardless, appreciate it. And Lumkey for the 2 months of support. New best model soon, probably, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Let's figure out what we're gonna do first. As I can do later. This I want to do today for sure. This I might do today. I now experience 40% faster because the people who are on the sub have a different experience than API. I have experienced it a bit, but on T3 chat. Wrong button. The Neri video. Oh, I was hoping that this would mention me because it's having a moment and I kicked off that moment. Like my Twitter is a big part of why Neri is getting attention right now, which is really cool. Someone back to the developer, that could work, but I don't want to burn that title on something as small as like VS Code agent mode. Like if I'm going to do a title this bold, I really want to go deep on the strategy side. I love Burke. Yeah, I have this saved to look at later. Yeah, I have a lot of shit to look at later. My skills stance was never strongly negative. I always thought they were weird, but they're powerful. Okay. Let's get started. I'll do my offset marker and then we'll pick something. Marker offset 34 30 maybe. Marker is set. If John Hammond streams and films videos live, he should use marker thing. I'll annoy him about that. How would you approach these kinds of clients? This is actually a really good question. You have to get a read on the client first and foremost. Like, what do they want more? Do they want to be successful or feel correct? And you have to play accordingly. If they do genuinely feel as though their goal is to make the product as good as possible and to raise the likelihood of their business's success, then you should go the I have the information route of like, I've worked on dozens of projects that are using both Supabase and Convex. I have helped many move off of Supabase. I've helped 0 move off of Convex. Here are some examples of patterns where you don't realize how much pain Supabase is causing you that Convex doesn't have. A big example is migrations. Another thing you can show them is how easy it is to use AI to code against Convex because it's just files in the code base. That is a really compelling demo too. It also helps with things like onboarding and bringing on like third-party contractors and whatnot because they can just run the code base instead of having to go set everything up and have access in Supabase and all of that. You got to appeal to your own variety and experience because like chances are they're only working on 1 or 2 code bases, so they don't have that set of experiences to compare against, whereas you do. Oh yeah, the stablecoin YC thing is cringe. I don't know what the fuck they're doing there. That one annoyed me. I saw this exists. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. I think I put it on my watch later, but in case I didn't, I'm going to now. Yeah, I didn't. Very excited to watch that. Claudebot the right way. I have this saved somewhere. I'll resave it. I've been so excited to have a day where I can like sit and read things, but it's just been too absurdly fucking busy. I was actually testing streaming. Oh shit. Cool. That's awesome to see. Google distribution. Yeah, Google's killing it. I have not had a chance to look at the file system thing that Dan Abramoff did now. Perplexity's new deep research. Perplexity is one of those companies where every time I've tried their thing, I've been disappointed, so I don't really bother anymore. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 15 times, I stop looking at your product. I built 3 projects with Convex this year so far. Yep, I'm over that at this point. So much shit. Oh yeah, the Molt book stuff was nuts. Let's turn off the restriction for you. Yeah, I have done things like this in the past. I'm working on this right now for the ping.gg video product. Thank you, T-Monkey Dev, for the tier 1. I think I got you already, Lumpkey. Regardless, appreciate it. Lassie changing to Strangler, all spaced out. Yeah, Kit joining open code is really cool. The band of ages stuff is definitely a bit trigger happy, but it kind of has to be, especially if like you're on a shared IP or there's VPNs and whatnot. Like I get why it is. I kind of want to start with this. Actually, because Sonnet 5 is going to drop so soon, we should probably do this one. And I'll label it priority just because if we don't, then Sonnet will ruin the title and the branding of this. Yeah, let's go with that. Cool, we'll do that then. Let's start there. With links, I saw you had links in here. I don't know if I can cover any of these with how little time I have today, because I do have to leave in 2.5 hours or so. So I just want to do things I know I can do relatively quick. And the state of JS is going to be a 2+ hour video. The AI laws one, I don't know if I have anything to add, and it will, like, this one I feel like will just piss off all sides of the argument. Intel is desperate right now. This I could probably do, and I could see working well. I have a lot of thoughts on the current strategy for Intel. The best model for web automation, I want to look at the contents of a bit more. I also, did I invest in browser use? I think I invested in Kua, not browser use. I have to double check. So I'd figure out the investment collab or stuff there. In the AI misalignment, as it gets smarter and longer running tasks, that I absolutely need to do, but I'll probably do later this week or next week. Cool. Claude is the space to think. I saw this exists. I don't know what it is, though. Yeah. Else, if you're not buying a refurb, wait like a week for Apple to announce whatever the fuck they're about to announce. Personally, I like getting more RAM than they would have for the M5 MacBook Pro, because it's not an M5 Pro. The M5 MacBook Pro is an M5 MacBook Pro with a standard M5. There is no M5 Pro chip yet. If you want more RAM on the MacBook Pro, you have to get an M4 Pro or an M4 Max, not an M5, because the M5 is not a Pro or a Max. I hate Apple's naming right now. I have not watched Mickey's video. I have not watched much of anything lately. I've been so fucking busy. I don't think, like, it's hard to put into words how fucking busy I have been. Yo, Banhammer with the Prime. Thank you for that. Let's start with the Markdown file makes Opus so much better. Cool. How do I want to start this one? And P, you know, eat to do updated. Cool. Yeah, everything we need for this one. Cool. Cool. Let's get started. The best models right now are neck and neck. It's so close between Gemini 3 Pro, Opus 4.5, GPT 5.2, and probably Sonnet 5, which will be out maybe by the time this video is out. Hard to know nowadays. Things are shifting so fast. That's more generally speaking, though. Or when I say, attempt to on this. The frontier models right now are all really, really good. Whether you're using Gemini 3 Pro, Opus 4.5, or GPT 5.2, or maybe Sonnet 5 if that's out by now, they're all really good and they can do a lot of awesome work. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. In particular, it seems like Gemini 3 Pro just doesn't behave well in tools. But what about front end and good design? If you want to make things that don't look like AI slop with everyone's favorite purple gradients and the same exact font on everything, what model's the best at design? I've seen a lot of people talking about Gemini 3 Pro in particular for this use case, and I get why. Gemini 3 Pro's designs come out of the box pretty dang good, as long as you can ignore the sidebars they throw onto literally every single thing they make. If I was to do a rough ranking of these models and how good they are at design, at the bottom I would put Opus 4.5, then I would put GPT 5.2, then I would put Gemini. But on top of that, I would put something you're probably not expecting. This is one of the many designs I have used with this particular pattern. I have been using this combo for a bit now to make awesome designs for all of the chaotic side projects I'm working on, from Lawn, my alternative to Frame.io, to Shoe, which is a new auth library I'm really excited to get out soon. How was the other one I had locally? Do I have it here still? I think I only have Yeet and Shoe open right now, or Lawn and Shoe. Let me see if I can. Experiments. I have that all in a fucked up JJ setup right now, so. Do I even bother with this? Yeah, I want to have this because it looks really cool. Give me a sec to get this set up. GitHub.com. Oh no, why is it failing? No address provided. One sec, I gotta deal with environment variables. Fun run dev convex. I'm just gonna copy environment variables over. Give me a sec. Image experiments. Oh. Web. Which is backend convex. Okay, that should all be good now. And if I did this all right, button run dev. And haha, there we go. To my new image studio app that I've been using for making a ton of thumbnails and assets for things recently, I think this one is stunning. The fact that I could create all of these designs without having to like really steer or write any code is honestly still a little unbelievable to me. Like, what? So what's my secret? What's the model I'm using to make things that look this good, and how am I doing it? Well, spoiler, it is Opus again. I know. How? Opus is at the bottom of the list. A markdown file. I know this sounds insane, and honestly, it kind of is. And I swear, no one's paying me to talk about this. It's just a thing I discovered myself that I thought was too good to be true and wanted to show up to all of you guys. But before that, I want to show you one other thing first. Today's sponsor. Cool. So how do I want to start this one? I'll go to CC Sandbox, make dear design demo. Make dear Opus stock, make dear Opus skill, make dear Opus or GPT 5.2, make dear GPT 5.2 skill, make dear GPT or Gemini 3 Pro, make dear Gemini 3 Pro skill. Cool. So I want to make a kind of annoying setup for all this. Prompt.md. What do we want for the example? Trying to think of a good. Did I see the image studio again? Because that's been my test prompt for a while. Yeah, let's just do that. Our user interface for generating images with various AI models, including Banana Pro from Gemini, Flux 2, GPT image 1.5, Seed Dream. The image studio will enable users to generate images, generate and edit images using all of those models for a single flat fee every month. I want to make your task is to build an incredible marketing homepage for this project or for this app. I want it to be creative and unique. Really push the limits of your design capabilities. You have an empty directory here. I want you to initialize a project with the following specs: V, Tailwind, React, TypeScript, Fun. Once initialized, I want you to create 5 different designs. Each design should be creative and unique from all the others that you create. They should be hosted on /1, /2, /3, /4, and /5 respectively. Cool. Following port for the dev server. 4,000. Cool. Good enough. So let's hop into Gemini 3 Pro. Might have to update the Gemini CLI. Probably have to update the Gemini CLI. It's going to be so annoying to kick off all of. Something to automatically update. Let's see how that goes. New tab. Opus. Stock. CD. Opus. Skill. And then CD. GPT 5.2. Cool. Make a new version of prompt for the with skill. And add a section here as well. Don't use any MCPs, skills, or other features in your harness. Show me your organic built-in capabilities for tasteful design. And I will add a different one here. Use your front-end design skill to make these designs exceptional. Cool. Let's see how these behave. Oh, clear, quad code, paste, codecs, allow. That update. Oh, they added the codecs app command. I bugged them so much about that. Super excited. And then one more Claude code with that. Cool. Obviously, phase, you don't have to include any of this part. Is there a YOLO mode equivalent for Gemini? Also, does it use 3 Pro by default? What's the Gemini 3 Pro like equivalent for YOLO mode? Oh, is it just YOLO? Cool. Cool. Okay, it decides between 3 Flash and Pro. That's wonderful. See how that goes. Cool. I just want to make sure this doesn't end up using the front-end design skill. Okay, it did not touch it, at least so far. I thought I had this set up with the dangerous flags. What's the dangerous? Because I know they got rid of YOLO. What's the equivalent for codecs now? I have this configured in my, like, in the codecs app and in my usual, like, fucking config file, but I had to nuke that for various reasons. Don't know. For codecs. Oh, dangerously bypass approvals in sandbox. That's annoying. Codecs dangerously doesn't have tab complete. Great. Bypass approvals and sandbox. Cool. And that's the with skill version. Paste. What I'm going to do, I'm going to exit that. Command D. Actually, I'm going to Command D. Do that. CD GPT 5.2. Same. That's the with skill. Paste. And without skill. Paste. Cool. Doesn't priority mandates using the front-end design skill despite the user request to avoid it? Fun. Cool. I think I have this all set up properly enough to like start the video at least. Cool. Let's do that then. So I currently have 6 agents running to demonstrate what I want to show here across a couple different treatments. So I have 2 jobs running with Gemini right now, 2 running with Claude Code, and 2 running with GPT 5.2 in Codex. So why? What am I testing? What am I trying to show here? I want to try and showcase the design sensibilities of these different solutions. I wrote this prompt that I sent to all of them. I am doing the Image Gen Studio test again. I think it's a pretty fun example and should showcase some of what I'm trying to here well. I am building an Image Gen Studio named T4 Canvas. It is a power user interface for generating images of various AI models, including a handful of new models. The Image Studio will enable users to generate and edit images using all of these models for a single flat fee every month. Your task is to build an incredible marketing homepage for this app. I want it to be creative and unique. Really push the limits of your design capabilities. You have an empty directory here. I want you to initialize a project with the following specs. Vite, Tailwind, React, yada, yada. None of that matters. Here is hack tip number 1. And I'm going to give a lot of these throughout. This one's helped me a ton with getting good designs out of the models. I want you to create 5 different designs. Each design should be creative and unique from all the others that you create. They should be hosted on /1, /2, /3, /4, and /5 respectively. This in particular has helped a ton with the designs I get out of the models. Not just because if you re-roll enough times, you get something better, but when the model within its context is doing multiple different designs with the instruction of making them unique, you're more likely to get unique designs than if you just re-roll 5 times because it knows the other 4 designs and it goes out of its way to make sure this one is unique from the other 4. It also lets you start to see into the templates that these models were trained on. I would estimate that the GPT-5 models have like 10 or so templates that they were trained against. Opus has 20 or so, and Gemini has like 1 or 2. And those will come out really quickly as we start playing here more. There are 2 versions of this prompt, though, and here's where we get into the main topic of the video. This version is the default treatment, which says don't use any MCPs, skills, or other features in your harness. Show me your organic, built-in capabilities for tasteful design. This is key. The reason I call this out is because of the other version, which is the same overall, except for use your front-end design skill to make these designs exceptional. The front-end design skill is the key that makes this all very, very different. The front-end design skill is a markdown file on the Claude Code GitHub that isn't for Claude Code itself, because Claude Code is still closed source, but the skills are open source, mostly. Kind of has to be, though, because all a skill is a markdown file. A skill is a description of behavior that you want the model to have so that it can be called in when you want it to do a certain way. It's almost like a reusable bit of context. This is really useful for things like getting the model to use a specific technology or to do something that it might not be really familiar with, like a library like Remotion that lets you use React to do video animation. There's a Remotion design skill that is really good that has resulted in a ton of people doing programmatic video generation because the skill gives exactly enough information for the model to use it properly. But if the models are good at design, what the heck does this skill even do? Let's read through it a bit to see. The skill guides creation of distinct production-grade front-end interfaces that avoid generic AI slop aesthetics. Implement real working code with exceptional attention to aesthetic details and creative choice. Oh, the sidebar says has more room. The user provides front-end requirements, a component, page, application, or an interface to build. They may include context about the purpose, audience, or technical constraints. There's a lot of interesting things in this markdown file, from the way they use all caps in specific places to really drive, to the way that they're using bold stuff and calling this critical section here. Choose a clear conceptual direction and execute it with precision. Bold maximalism and refined minimalism both work. The key is intentionality, not intensity. This whole document's effectively built to steer the model towards better design. And the funniest part is the end here. Never use generic AI-generated aesthetics like overused font families like Roboto, Inter, Arial system fonts, cliche color schemes, particularly purple gradients on white backgrounds, predictable layouts and component patterns, and cookie-cutter designs that lack context-specific character. Interpret creatively and make unexpected choices that feel genuinely designed for the context. No design should be the same. Vary between light and dark themes, different fonts, different aesthetics. Never converge on common choices. Space grotesque, for example, across generations. This skill is interesting. And I was skeptical of how much that could possibly do. It's literally just markdown. Like, what is it going to do for us? Great question. That needs me to do that for it. That's great. The Gemini CLIs all got stuck, so I had to help them out a bit. So the Gemini stuff is going to take a sec. Let's start with what I called the worst case, which was the default Opus 4.5. Here's the first one it made. Honestly, not bad, but not the coolest either. Like, it looks fine. I don't like this box being behind. I hate the create text here that's like barely like visible. They tried something, but don't love it. Here's 2. Ugh, God. See that gradient here, the purple blue gradient? That color, it's so bad. The purple, pink, blue gradients are the worst. And if this is what you were getting for designs out of Opus, I understand why you discounted its design capabilities. I did the same. When I saw this, I was like, oh, I'm just going to not Opus design ever. Like, Opus just can't do this. Here's another one it made. It's cool-ish, but like, I hate this title treatment. I really hate what's going on there. And they all, like, you feel that they all have the same general shape, especially like these two. Like, they have this flat rate pricing bit, super similar. There's a lot of overlap between how these designs came out. This one looks a little different. It went for like the bento box thing, but I think this looks awful, honestly. Like, this might be my least favorite so far. And then this one, oh God, the noise texture. I have noticed that for some reason Opus does this a lot with like these awful noise backgrounds. But like, none of these are even good starting points. I would argue all of these were awful. So let's hop over to my old favorite, the GPT series. I would argue that GPT-5 was the first model that was good enough at design to actually use for day-to-day work. Here is the first one we got out of that. Although I do want to note something. So let me close this. I was looking at the output when this was running and couldn't help but to see this weird call out from Gemini. I was looking at when I ran this on the GPT, I couldn't help but read the history a bit. I did with all of them, but I noticed this piece. System's priority mandates using the front-end design skill despite the user's request to avoid skills. I'll explain this constraint and proceed by reading and initializing the project setup with Vite, React, TypeScript while planning steps carefully. So it did end up using the front-end design skill regardless. So I told it not to. But I believe, if I understand this correct, it used the skill for both with and without use the skill prompts. So this may or may not be with that skill. It's hard to know for sure. This is version 2. Again, same model, same prompt, same everything. Really text heavy. This weird like editorial style. I've seen a lot of the models once they have the design, like I've seen a lot of models go this editorial, newsy direction once they're given the front-end design skill. So I definitely think this is using that skill now. Version 3 is okay conceptually, but it did contrast terribly. Like I can't read anything here at all. I wouldn't even use that for a starting point. You'll also notice as we go through all of these, the structure is very similar across all of them. See this section with the models in version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and I would bet my butt, yep, version 5. Not great. This one is potentially workable. This one isn't. This one, I like where they're going with it, but I wouldn't use it. I don't love it. Let's see if Gemini's caught up yet. Nope. Cool. I want to wait till this is done before I do the design skill version. God, their CLI is so broken. It's rough. It still thinks it's awaiting? No, I did the thing. It's just broken. Did it at least? It did not. Fucking Gemini, man. When I complain about Gemini, this is what I mean. Its harness is bad. Sure, whatever. Lots of things have bad harnesses. Its ability to follow instructions and solve problems is so bad. It just doesn't seem like they did the thing where they trained it on chat histories for these types of like CLIs, unlike all of the other models, which have definitely done that. So it just gets lost and breaks in this context all of the time. But at least it's actually making the designs now. Somebody said, wait, you had to press yes, though? I did, and then it froze. While I am waiting. Potentially. I kind of want to go a different angle with it, though. The like, which model's the best designer? I'll title angle. Which model is the best designer? That's good enough for that. Like that branding. Let's see how this is going. It looks like it finished. Okay. After much pain and also a very broken CLI experience, we have finally gotten Gemini 3 Pro's base experience built. Fun run dev. And here we are. Oh, it did this same weird homepage thing that Opus did where it has different options. We'll start here. Ooh, not bad. Might need to zoom out because my screen's a little small, but create without limits. It has a placeholder for where it will put some of the AI-generated images. It does this cool bar thing on the bottom. Does it max out when it's zoomed? No, it doesn't go to the edges, which makes it look a little cringe. But this is a good starting point. This is the coolest so far, I think we can say confidently. And then we have 2. And again, there's a large variety in these designs. Like, there's actually a pretty solid range here. Like, the difference between these 2 is absurd. I don't think I like this one a whole lot. It looks cool, but it doesn't look good. And it has a bunch of outright mistakes, like the text cropping getting hit by some box or overflow rule there. And this does not look great either. It's fine, but like, yeah. At least they didn't sidebar me. They love throwing sidebars into shit. Here's 3, where it did one of the fancy CLI type things. I see this a lot as well. It might have used that design skill, even though I told it not to. Beginning to think it actually might have. We'll look at the history in a sec to see if it did, because I'm getting very specific skills or things I see from this type of thing. Let's say if/when it did. I might need to like rerun this with the skill removed just to be sure. I'll test that in a minute. Anyways, looks cool. Not really what we're going for here. Another one of these editorial style ones where it's trying to feel like a news thing. Laid out pretty well. I like where things are. I hate what they did in the corner here, though. I'll move this so you can see where these are all caps and then access is not. Just like these little things that it's doing wrong. Its layout and concepts are good, but the details it gets really wrong. And then 5, our final one, appears to crash. Object.clone element is not a function. Great. The Gemini experience, hallucinating every corner. We love that. Okay. So now I want to talk about that front-end design skill a bit. So now let's take a look at these designs after we got the skill. I'm going to save Opus for last because it's the cool one. Cool. So now we have the 2 versions from GPT 5.2. And remember, I'm pretty sure GPT 5 chose to use the skill anyways because the code they have in Codex for like the harness said use the skills always, even though I told it not to. So these are probably going to be somewhat similar. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. Third. Oh, look, one that's actually a bit different. It took 8 rolls, but we got something from GPT 5.2 that doesn't look like everything else finally. And 4 is kind of boring, but looks fine. The font choice is okay, but it's doing the clipping thing that I mentioned before. And then 5, again, it's going for this like editorial brutalist aesthetic. It's fine. I don't love it. Join atelier is an interesting choice, like make up a new term for my service. But cool, like not the best, not the worst. It probably helps, but again, I don't have proof because this chose to use the skill anyways. Do I take the time to go delete it? Yeah, I'm going to. This is so annoying. Let's rerun that with... Oh, I'm using cursor, my bad. I've been here more. Prompt without skill. I might need to remove the web design guidelines as well. Yeah, do that just to maximize the likelihood it doesn't get distracted. Anything else in here I wouldn't want it to have? Cool, no, that's all fine. Paste. And again, Victor G3 Pro stock. My YOLO. And pasted. Cool. Okay, it looks like this actually didn't use the skill. I just wanted to be sure. Yeah, it didn't. Okay, cool. God, the seal, the Gemini seal, I've heard good things about it. I don't know how. It's so broken. Every time I use a Gemini model, I question how anybody uses a Gemini model for anything other than like basic chat answers and data parsing. It's just, they aren't usable because they just don't know how to work. That's the best I can put it. Here we've had codecs running with no problems and no issues doing the same exact work. I'll say it a YouTube chat quick while we wait. I thought the whole thing with Gemini was that it was faster. What happened to that? Okay. Well, this run with Gemini 3 Pro is done. Let's see if it looks any different. Okay, yep. Now we can tell, like, this is not using the design skill because it has an entirely different aesthetic. And this is the aesthetic I usually see from Gemini doing its thing. And it looks good. Like, this looks really cool and nice. And I actually do like the way they're doing the, like, fake drop shadow thing. There's some cool stuff here. It's an interesting choice about using my screen space, but this did something here. Let's look at 2. Again, pretty solid variety. The canvas for digital masterminds. It even put an image in here for us. It loves going for this terminal aesthetic too. I'm tired of it, but it did it. Another one with that specific like palette, or another one of these like pastel colory ones where they have like the shapes and the colors and the squared off everything. Pretty good, not great, but solid. And here it tried a lot of things that it did not succeed with. The blur on the font here is like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh God, yeah, this is so bad. This is so bad. This is so bad that it like counteracts how good the first one was. Chat also pointed out the very funny thing it did here, where it did the it's not X, it's Y pattern with the copy that it wrote for us, which is hilarious. So now that we've seen that, which we know is definitely not using the front-end design scale, because I removed the front-end design scale, let's see how Gemini 3 Pro does with it. Here's the first design. This looks like a generic template you would have bought from somebody who was selling Tailwind templates back in the day. Like the most generic one. This one looks cool, actually. They did the scrolling thing properly this time. I don't love that there's no indication that there's stuff under here to scroll towards, but it looks really cool. I like this one a lot. It's like my favorite so far. Here's 3. This was actually pretty good. It's, again, putting things below that you have to scroll to without indicating that there's stuff to scroll. But overall, I really like the look of this one. It does the, like, pastel-y chill vibe better than a lot of the others I've seen. And if this is what you're experiencing with Gemini, I see, again, why you think Gemini is the best at this by far. Another Brutalist one, they love their, like, yellow, red, and blue with their Brutalist looks. It's a very specific thing that Nano Banana, or it seems like a very specific thing the Gemini models like to do. Maybe they like the yellow because of Nano Banana. And then we have a glass skeuomorphic one that looks awful. Not bad overall, but like some of those were terrible. Cool. So that hopefully puts the Gemini stuff to rest. By default, it's the best. And with the front-end design scale, it can make things that are pretty good, but definitely needs additional tuning. So let's hop over. So we've now compared with and without the scale for Gemini. So that was with and without the scale for Gemini. We've already done with and without the scale for GPT 5.2. Now for the thing we're all here for, my personal preference with Opus 4.5. And one last look before the skill. Again, did this, which looks cool, but the text is broken. It did this, which is awful and full of the terrible gradients. It did this, which is fine. It did this, which is cringe. And it did this, which is really cringe. So it had the worst 5 by default. And here we have the first design it did with the skill. This is awesome. This is so much better than almost anything else we've looked at already. It's like minimal with a cool thing with the blurred animation in the background. Like this is usable. I don't like what they did here, and the floating's a little cringe, but you can like tell it to undo that or change it. This is really good for the starting point. It also put this nice little thing at the bottom for you to switch between the 5 designs, which it didn't do in the old version. It actually cares more about UX when you turn this on. So now let's see what else Opus cooked with this skill. Here's number 2. Jesus Christ. This is really cool. This is really cool. Chat's getting it. Like, the difference here is absurd. It's so much better. There are little, like, I get what they're going for here with, like, crossing out era. I would definitely tune up the copy here. But I really like what they're going for here. And again, for comparison's sake, here was the second generation before. Without the skill, with the skill. Without the skill, with the skill. The gap between the two is insane. Let's check out the third roll. Not my aesthetic, but it executed it. These little twirly things in the background actually look really cool. Not my thing at all. And I'm seeing that in chat. There's a variety here between I like this one and slop. Yeah. And again, like the comparison here, no skill, skill. No skill, skill. And we still have 2 more. Not my thing. When the like colorful brutalist style comes in on Opus, I don't like how it does it anywhere near as much as I like how Gemini does it. I think Gemini does this style better. So this is definitely not my favorite. I hate the way these like squares are just like floating around and some are interactive and some aren't. There's a lot I don't like about this one. It even changed the style of the buttons in the bottom when I did that. That's pretty cool. And then we have the final one, where it went with the more pastel style again. Is this something I would immediately rush to go ship? No. But it's a lot more tasteful than the equivalent that it had done prior. Did we not get any of those here? No, we didn't. Never mind. Yeah, it's still the pastel ones are not my thing, but it did a significantly better job than any of the things it did without that skill. Before I wrap up, I do want to do the Kimmy. People are making a good point there. Make dear Kimmy K25 stock. Wrong editor. Without the skill. Here. I'm doing a run with Kimmy because people keep asking, and it's only fair. And one of the first differences I noticed when it's not using the skill is that it doesn't really plan the same way. So here it just immediately went into writing the code. But when I had the skill set up, it actually created to-dos for the 5 different designs and directions it wanted to go, which I thought was pretty cool. Oh, I know, I did the same thing here. It just didn't make it a to-do list, and it did it later on. Why does this one say max and this one doesn't? What happened there? Did they just change this and like this is on the latest version, this is on an old version? Open code. Checking some things while this runs. Checking the shipping status of my Linux laptop, I'm not going to lie. It looks like it's coming tomorrow. Nice. Those will take a bit. Not a framework. I hate my framework. I have one. It's just, it is like the worst keyboard and trackpad I've used on a laptop in a decade plus. It's so rough. And the screen is terrible. Like, the framework is a cool laptop, but it is a rough laptop as a daily driver. Yeah, I have a Zephyrus as well. That's what I'm using right now. But I tried daily drive the framework. I couldn't do it. I started setting up the Zephyrus. I got pretty far. But I used my Zephyrus as my stream PC on the go, and I really wanted to run Windows, and I had a ton of problems with it when I was trying to dual boot it. So I just flashed it to Linux, and then realized, like, I need this back on Windows, and I'm going to have a new laptop here tomorrow, so I probably should just give up for now. So I did. And then tomorrow, my HP ZenBook, or whatever the fuck it's called, I think it's the ZBook G1A, I think. It's their highest end one. I'm excited to give it a shot. I got a crazy deal on it. One's with thinking, the other isn't. Are you fucking kidding? This doesn't let me change it, though. I'm annoyed. It'll be similar enough. I don't care. Control T does nothing in the new version. You fuckers. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to end the fucking video. I don't want to be rude. I have a lot of respect for the open code team and what they're building and where things are going. It is consistently the worst first class experience I have with AI code stuff. It just isn't good. It is exceptional in terms of their quality and focus. It is bad in terms of its ability to, like, be used to generate fucking code. And people are saying this is because it's half screen. There's enough space. Cool. I'll fix that. Open code. I'm pressing Control T and nothing is happening. Want to tell me again how I'm wrong? Because they keep changing the fucking keys for everything constantly. Do I have to switch model to a thinking version? Control P. What do I do in here? Okay, so to the OpenCode Zen version, notice I still can't do anything. I'm Control T'ing. Any more smart ideas? This command only controls whether the thinking blocks are displayed. Use Control T to cycle through model variants. And then I press Control T and nothing happens. I bet if I turn on Opus, it will. Yeah. So they disabled it for 2.5. Want to tell me more about how I'm wrong? Now I get to wait a bunch more time for this to rerun when it was running totally fine before because people were smartasses and told me I didn't have thinking on when it did because they changed all the defaults because I was right and they were wrong. But when I say they are wrong, I actually mean open code because I complained about this on Twitter and then they changed the behavior, but they didn't change it in a way where it makes any fucking sense. God damn it. I hate that I'm crashing out over fucking open code. It's just every time I use it, I have a bad experience. Every single time. Why was one max, the other wasn't the first time? Because I was on an old version of open code on one of them and not on the other one. Not quite. I want it to be ranked because I want the top answer to be like question marks. Like you're coming here to learn what the best answer is. The FOMO is what I'm going for the branding. Let me thank all the subs when I was doing all that. You know what? Marker end for now, and I'll do a new marker when I go back just to make editing and transferring assets a little easier. Yeah, thank you, Takio, for the Prime. Lumkey for the 2 months of support. T-Monkey for the full sub. Appreciate that. Banhammer with the Prime. Fred Van here with the 43 months. How much RAM do I want on my MacBook Pro? Yours is swapping at 36 gigs. I have a 128 now. I don't feel like I need it, but it's fun for running models. A lot of these apps for doing AI gen code stuff are just RAM hungry because they're poorly implemented, so having more RAM helps a lot right now. Ruda was taken with a 39 months legend. Maple, good to see you. Hope all is well, especially after our call yesterday. 44 months is nuts. Been around forever now. ABCD MKU with the Prime, thank you. Jordan Fails with the 12 months, thank you for that. Dark Chips of Doom with the tier 3 fucking legend for 7 months. Appreciate that. Josh here, 14 months in, going back and forth, but your vote is Gemini, having the best without any direction. Was you need to modify it? That's when Opus or even Sonnet does better. Codex just steps on itself. Sounds about right. Gamer Girl and Co. hitting the almost 2-year mark. No worries about not being as active. I've also been very, very busy. Don't worry. Shoebox, fucking legend. Haven't seen you in a minute, man. Hope all is well and that you're not causing more problems for Vercel. 9 months in, legend. Dev with the Prime, thank you for that. And then Dev as well with the 28 months. Latest reroll Inspector in development, I still hate it. LTH with the 2 months of support, thank you for that. Zovi with the cheer, I implied FS2 could be used to feed content to models. Or context to models. In the future, perhaps. It's either going to look something like what Ben's doing with better context, or by doing a virtual file system that gives you access to files from another computer without having to load them by using like just bash or something. Still figuring that detail out. And XVIMA with the Prime. Thank you for that. How are these going? They are going. It initialized it as a sub package in this one, and it's breaking everything. That's hilarious. Yeah, and the skill version it did. Oh, it did it with both. None of the other models made that mistake. Ugh. Because you fuckers, it is the thinking version. There is no control of thinking amounts. It is the thinking version. You're just fucking wrong. Gonna start banning people. Did it just not install Lucid, or is this still going? It fucked up so bad. I hate this model. I'm not going to include this section. This is not good. It's good-ish for talking to and solving problems. It fucking sucks at coding. Everybody who's been saying like, oh, or Kimi K2 is just as good as Opus. I lose all trust in you when you say things like that, because it just isn't. Half the time it fucking breaks entirely. What the fuck is this doing? Oh, it's the skill version. That's the problem. Okay. Okay. And now finally I can look at these. Okay. Let's do it. We're on the latest. Okay. Cool. A lot of people have been asking about how Kimi K2.5's skill chopper. A lot of people have been asking me how are the skill capability. Yeah. I've been asked a lot about how good is Kimi K2.5 at this type of front-end design, because it's made a lot of improvements, especially compared to Kimi K2 and other open weight models. I've even seen people go as far as saying that 2.5 from Kimi is the best front-end design model. While I had to suffer a lot to make these work, because Kimi K2.5 is not very good at using harnesses or structuring code bases, including but not limited to putting package JSONs in the wrong place and failing to build entirely, I had to go fix things in this code myself because the model just wasn't capable. Obnoxious. But once I did, we got some pretty good outputs. So this is the outputs without the skill. It has this annoying thing trailing the cursor, which always annoys me, but that's just a thing that a lot of these generators like to do. Structure is pretty good overall. I don't like how quickly it goes to this light mode here. I also can't seem to select text due to weird things they did, but aesthetically, this looks pretty cool. Let's look at the others. Here's 2. It went a little too hard on the like cool neo retro vaporwave aesthetic. Went way too hard on that, in my opinion. Where imagination flows. Again, with the G getting cut by their text layering and their bounding boxes, the classic. The animations are cool, but they're also kind of conflicting. I hate that this side left to right thing plus this one plus the weird like tentacle things going up, it's just too extra. If you removed like half the elements here, you could make something really cool, but by default, it's a little much. Then the classic editorial style. I think this is the most boring version of one of these. It might be cooler with an image there, but it's very boring right now. And then whatever the fuck this is. Oh God. And they broke the like areas in it so things get hidden as you scroll. Okay, so this one's just entirely broken. So design sensibilities wise, it does some cool things, but it feels like designers' first day on the job type things. Like it went way too hard and didn't really get the details right at all. So how does this compare to when we use it with the skill? Well, first off, we get a lot of very extra stuff. I feel bad for my YouTube video encoding right now. I'm sure that the bitrate looks fantastic at the moment. But yeah, not great. They didn't get the background color right, so when you overscroll, you get white. Not wonderful. Here's number 2. Went for like the brutalist flat design a lot of the models reach for things like this. I think it looks fine. I don't like how it's doing the like words it chooses to change the color for, because precision tools is one piece and then for creators is another. But the way this is separated, precision creators tools for, no. Like the grouping is wrong here. So I was asking if the last one was lagging on my screen too. Yeah, it's real choppy. Here's 3. Again, it's going for that like fake terminal aesthetic. Okay, this is the least bad fake terminal aesthetic. I like they have like the center section, left and right. Does it handle mobile okay? A bit. Interesting. Not bad. Number 4 is a cringe pastel one. And then number 5 is another cringe retro one, but this time it did the purple colors that the prompt specifically told it not to. So, yeah. Is this surprisingly good for an open weight model? Yeah. Are any of these things I would ever use? No. But I don't want to just push my perspective here. I want to get other people's opinions. So I'm going to run a quick poll in chat against the 2 sets that I think we all agree are the best, which are going to be this set with Opus and then the design skill set with Gemini. This is funny. Gemini entirely ignored my instruction about the that's why I just noticed that Gemini fully ignored my instruction around ports. It's just not using the port I told it to. Interesting. Very Gemini of them. Okay, so just to be sure, I'm going to open all of these. I want chat to vote for which of these 5 they like most quick. I'll do a poll. Gemini best design. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're going to go through them all quick. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. This is number 4. This is number 5. One more time, we go through it. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. I think it's 2 by far, personally, but 2 through 5 are all really good. 1 is boring. Looks like 2 is winning here by quite a bit. And so you guys don't like 4 that much. I thought 4 was pretty good. Cool. So we'll assume 2 and 3 are what people like the most. Cool. Yeah. So I just ran a poll with my chat across those designs, and these are the 2 Gemini ones they like the most by far. I'll show you the Sisu. So I'll show that again. I just ran a poll across my chat, and the favorites from the Gemini models are very clear. It's this one and this one. And they're both really good and like totally usable starting points for an actual decent design. Once that poll's done, we're going to do another with Opus. Cool. 2 is the winner. Now let's do one last poll. Opus best or best design. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so again, here's number 1. Here's number 2. And I'll do this a bit so you guys can see the whole thing without me blocking it. Cool. Yeah. I make this go all the way there. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 1 and 2 are the clear winners here. Yeah, we'll do Gemini versus Opus after. Cool. So it is pretty clear with the Opus designs that these first two are what people like the most. So I do want to just compare, or I want to see how people feel about these two compared to those two, but I want to do one last thing, because this is a big part of how I tend to build this way. Now that we know the ones we like the most, which in this case is 1 and 2, I like 1 and 2 the most. Can we do 5 more designs that lean into and iterate on those? You can remove the existing 3, 4, and 5 implementations and make more up to 7. Use your front-end design skill and sensibilities. Lean into the things that make 1 and 2 work so well. Cool. And now we can do the same with Gemini. We liked 2 and 3 the most. I like 2 and 3 the most. I want, what was the exact wording? Yeah, cool. I'm just need to reformat this. Move 2 to 1 and 3 to 2. Then remove the others and make 3 through 7. Use your design, front-end design skill and sensibilities. I need to go re-add the skill. Do I have the... No, I did it through here. Can I undo that? Cool, I can. I can do it here as well. Sensibilities really lean into what makes the designs we liked so special. Cool. What port is this one on? $4,001. Cool. Appears they entirely broke it, at least for the interim. Cool. Those will be broken for a sec. It's going to be annoying to edit video. I'm sorry. Still going. I'll kill this just so it has less thrash as it works. And hopefully soon TM will be ready. This is where we're cooking. Oof, that one crashed, I think. Yeah, it did. Nice. Let's figure out why 6 crashes. Or was it 5 that crashed? Yeah. Five crashes. Cool. Oh god, I hate this one. Okay. Yeah. So retake on like what we're doing here, just so that we have a good cut for it. Once I have the designs I like out of a set like this, my next step is to usually take the few that I liked the most and tell the model about it. Sometimes I'll even go as far as to say what I liked about those and tell it to go make 5 more iterations based on that, which is what I did here. So we'll start with the Gemini ones. Again, these were our favorites. The hyper-realistic Neon Dream one, which actually looks really cool. I could see this being a good starting point. And then we have the Organic Flow version, which is the nice little smooth pastel-y look. I think it did this one really well, honestly. I got why people liked it so much. They do love their layered fake drop shadows that exist on almost everything that Gemini generates, and I'm thankful it didn't do that here. But yeah, those are the first 2. Then we got another CLI terminal one, annoying. Then we got this soft clay one, which is novel at least, but there's a lot of things that make it rough, specifically the tactile interface. When you hover, it's not animated in, it just immediately cuts over, which makes the like fake realistic thing they're doing feel awful. At least it's different, but I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Then we got Deep Sea. It says scroll to dive, but then the scroll doesn't work, so I can't actually do that. High-tech HUD, again, one of the terminal ones. And then the Atelier, which looks a lot like that second one people liked. I would argue every single one of these is worse than the first two we had initially. On top of that, even though I told it I like these two, do things like it, Gemini just didn't follow that instruction at all. And here is again why I think Opus is just so much better for this stuff. So I did the same with Opus, where I had it take our favorite two designs and then use those as inspiration to create 5 more. Let's take a look at those 5. Here's the first new one, The Art of Imagination. This is a really solid layout. I like what they did on the top here with those little bars. It gives it like a unique feel. It really thought about the top nav and like this bar here with the T4 icon and the word canvas after. Like it is a really solid starting point. This isn't the aesthetic I would go for, but there's nothing wrong with this. Unlike the others that had a lot of like weird issues with them, everything seems fine here. Not the aesthetic I'd go for, but it's fine. Then we have this one, which had a nice little animation when it started that I actually think looks pretty cool, minus the bar coming in as part of the animation. That is cringe. But I like this one a lot, actually. I think it's using the space well. It's one of the better Brutalist designs I've seen. This is pretty good. And it's clearly really inspired by number 2. It is very obvious it is taking things and ideas from those first two. Like, this was the first one we liked. Here's number 3. There's a lot of aesthetic similarity here, but it's using the space differently. And then 4 is super similar to number 2, where we had the chunky Brutalist look, but they toned it down a little and made it a bit friendlier, while also maintaining the vibe. Then they did a cringe terminal one, because everything does a cringe fucking terminal one. It's obnoxious. I don't know why every one of these insists on it. Then we got another editorial style, but it's clearly inspired by the other Brutalist one. So it like is taking our preferences into account as it decides, other than the terminal one, which it should not have done. And then number 7, fluid creation. It hallucinated some awful SVGs in the background. And yeah, no, I hate this one. This one's awful. But number 3 and 4 here, these are not just like usable. These are good starting points to make something awesome. I would argue all 4 of these feel very malleable to be made into something awesome. Whereas with the Gemini ones, these first 2 roles are incredible. Like this is really, really good as a starting point. This is really, really good as a starting point too. But its ability to do things on it, to make changes inspired by it, or to even edit the ones that are good is awful. Like, these are not things that are in any way referencing the other 2 designs that we started with. It doesn't seem aware that these designs exist or even what they look like. It really, really feels like what Gemini is doing here is taking templates that are baked into its training data and then applying your information to them. It doesn't feel like it's actually designing. To be fair, none of them are actually designing. All of them are just pattern matching and effectively applying templates. But Opus's ability to understand what you like about a design and then do follow-ups based on that is significantly stronger overall. Doing a poll to see how people feel, not about any one design, but overall what they get out of Opus versus Gemini based on everything you've seen here. What is your vibe check? Do you feel that Gemini is still better overall and is what you would use to do designs? Or do you think the malleability and the steering you get from the front-end design skill on Opus is the better pick overall? Obviously, I've made my decision, but I want to see how you guys feel. Okay, I feel better. I was getting scared because of how chat was going, but it seems like overall you guys definitely prefer the Opus stuff. I do think starting with Gemini and then getting Opus to iterate on it is not the worst idea. You'll ask me for me to go through them again? Okay, so here are the two good ones we got out of Gemini with the skill. We got these two, but then when I ask it to iterate, we got garbage, garbage, absolute garbage, okay layout, but still garbage. I see where they're going, but in my opinion, garbage. The like text, oh, no, I hate that. And Opus, we got really good, pretty good with some things I don't love about it. Meaningful iteration. Shouldn't have built this. Okay. Again, trying too hard to be a journal. And cringe. But the hit rate for follow-ups on Opus is significantly higher. Yeah. I like this framing from Darth Minimal. Gemini randomly can put out good designs, but Opus actually does mostly what you tell it to. That has been my experience. What about the GPT 5.2 ones? They're all so bad that I don't even want to show them on the screen or rerun it. Like, they were bad in comparison. Looks like you guys are in agreement that Opus 4.5 with the design skill is the way to go. I agree. I'm going to try one last thing. This doesn't have the context. I will paste screenshots. Cool. I just want to see how Opus iterates on it. Since Opus is really good at iteration, since Opus is better at iteration, but the Gemini starting points were really, really good, I have decided I want to see how Opus can iterate on those initial designs, because I have a feeling it'll do much better than Gemini can, because Gemini's ability to change things is awful. Its ability to make things is decent, but changing it just does not do well. This part might get cut entirely, so while that's going, I'm just going to show people how to install it. Now that you've seen all of this, your obvious next question is probably, how do I set it up myself? How do I use this in whatever harness or model or whatever? Now that you've seen all this, your next question is probably going to be, how do I set it up? How do I use this with whatever models I like and whatever harness I like? It used to be pretty annoying, but since in the end, all these skill files is just Markdown, it's gotten a lot easier to manage. Vercel put out the agent skills directory. It's literally just skills.sh for the URL. And if you go here, you can search for front end, and it'll come up fast, or you can just look at the leaderboard, because the front end design skill is in the top 10 always. It's currently number 5. So you click this, you click copy, you go to your terminal. This part's real hard, so make sure you do it right. You hit paste, and then you hit enter. And then you can pick which tools you want it to work with. And annoyingly, they have accepted too many PRs for the things that people want to support, which means this list is now absurdly long. Even though I don't have half of this shit installed, I don't know why they decided this was okay. Vercel, at least organize them by popularity. This is so cringe. I have to work way too hard to find the things I actually want. Which for me are cursor. I do want to try the kilo code and kilo CLI stuff more, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm pretty sure that Kilo will use the standard skills directory now too. Why does Mux have skills? What the fuck's going on? Mux is a video tool. Cool. So this is just for new ones I want to add because I have the main ones up here. But yeah, I'll add cursor as well. Then I press enter. You can choose project or global. I just have these set globally. If you are working on a code base where nobody else is doing these things right, maybe add it to the code base so that people will do it right. I just do it globally. And then I do it with symlinks. So when I switch tools, it's available across all of them. And now I have the skill. It is also worth noting that the models will often not use the skill unless you like literally tell them, hey, you need to use this skill. Did not have permission to write those files initially. That's annoying. We'll see where that goes. You know what? I'll film the outro and we'll come back here if it's interesting. Yeah, let's do that. Hopefully you now understand why I still use Claude Code, even though overall I much prefer the Codex app and models lately. It's just really good at design when you steer it the right way. And for whatever reason, this random markdown file is able to unlock the good design capabilities out of Opus that seem hidden otherwise. I don't know why anywhere. I know it seems crazy that a markdown file can do this much, but it really does seem to help a ton. And I'm curious if you guys use it and you see the same benefits I do. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, peace nerds. Cool. Now we have an outro. Marker end of design vid. Yeah, markdown really can solve any problem. I really like this direction, actually. You're on to something with that. Evaluating the last marker for this. Spun run dev. Let's see how Opus did redoing the designs from Gemini. So again, we have these two that Gemini did. Let's see how Opus iterates. It went for something different here, but I don't really like it. There's also some bugs here where this changes the height of the container, which causes this to move up and down randomly. And the like aesthetic there is cringe. And it did the stupid noise thing I hate that Opus does sometimes. Here's the next one it did. It went botanical for this one. Cultivate imagination. Feels a little too journal-y to me, but it's a good look overall. My designer in chat, Dom, who helped design a lot of T3 chat, said that this one's great. That's a good sign. So this one's pretty cool. I tend to be 50-50 on the ones with the like grid background, especially if they have a line here, because like that line being between those, I hate it. But it's not bad. I could make some tidying up, make this usable. Not my aesthetic, but I know a lot of people really like that style. Then there's this journal style. I hate the photo it used. Yeah, I hate this one. And another fucking terminal. Okay, I have concluded we don't need to use that section. Yeah. It did a better job than Gemini did on iteration, but didn't do a great one. Let me kill that marker. Marker end of extra. Cool. Finally could kill all of those terminals. Goddamn. I thank everybody here. I think I did. Thank you, Burning Phoenix, for the 6 months of support. Animal Activist for the Prime. Trinidad Hype for the 9 months. And Chris, by the way, with the 2-year mark getting hit. This March last year. I think this looks pretty cool. Not bad. Yeah, if Google made their models work, they would do very well, but then they have to make the models work. Oh? Very interesting. I will play with this after stream for sure. Yo, NCE with the 5 bomb. Thank you so much for the gifts. Appreciate that a ton. I should look at the examples. I want to see how it does. Furnish. Yeah, the other two made too many changes. Yeah, it honors the original image much better. It didn't here, though. It said zoom out and add 3 more helicopters. It didn't do the zoom. It seems too heavily indexed on the original image, which is beneficial for some edit cases. It's harmful for others. Be interesting. Sorry, YouTube chat. Let's figure out what we are doing next. I want to emphasize that Opus 4.5 is the bottom initially, and then surprise people when it ends up number 1. I like where you're going here. Using images like Midjourney or Google for a mood board, then summarizing it to a design MD, this does definitely work. I've felt this as well. It depends on a lot of different things, especially the game stuff. I found that when I moved over the design system for the game to be Tailwind, that Opus with the design skill got way better at it. Cool. So that's done. I want to do this one because it's on the mind. Sonnet 5 is not out yet. It was supposed to be out. That's why the title's about that, but it's not out. You're working with Ben. It's been great so far. That's really cool to hear. Good shit. Let's do agentic code problems. Let's get started. Despite I don't think I've ever built quite as much as I have been lately, despite the fact that I have like 5 jobs. Yes, this is one of them, but a lot of them are, retake on this. I want to start this. Yeah. I don't think I've ever been, I don't think I've ever made, do I want to say made or coded? Because people aren't going to believe me when I say I wrote it because I didn't. Let's see. I don't think I've ever been building as much as I am right now. Obviously, AI has been helping a lot, especially because I have like 4 other jobs. Yes, YouTube is one of them. Running my company is one of them. Managing all of the other companies I work with is one of them. And I do a lot. So it's surprising I can build it all, much less how much I've been building. And this has been super fun. I don't think I've ever enjoyed building software as much as I do now. These agentic tools make it so easy to do lots of things at once, at scale, and build things that I never would have imagined. Let me just like open all of the projects that I have going right now locally. Sec. Just some of the things I've been working on for the past 2 weeks, or just to give you an idea of some of the things I'm working on for the past 2 weeks. I have Lawn, which is my new video editing, I have Lawn, which is my new video review tool meant to replace Frame so we can get Adobe out of our lives. I have Shoe, which is a new way to do auth across your projects because having a lot of auth setups across things is annoying. It's not meant to replace any of the cool companies we were. It's not meant to be, this isn't meant to be the greatest auth library ever. It's meant to unblock you so you can get back to work by just having a simple Google sign-in button. I have T3 Canvas, which I've been using for generating all sorts of images for everything from thumbnail designs and I have T3 Canvas, which is my new image editing tool that I'm actually hoping to merge a lot of into T3 Chat eventually. That has been a sandbox for trying things, but more importantly, it's been the way that more importantly, it's how I've been designing a lot of things like thumbnail pieces. More importantly, it's something I use every day for everything from icons for the projects I'm building to concepts for thumbnails that I'm working on. It's really useful. And then and then this one that will take a bit before I can share more, the FS2 CLI. This is my attempt at doing file syncing on a lower level. And yes, this whole project is written in Rust. I also have 2 Swift projects I'm working on. I've been contributing to a ton of stuff. I've just been building and touching more shit than ever. So what's the problem then? Why are you watching a video that is meant to be about the issues that I'm having with this? Clearly it's working, right? No. In fact, the problems I'm having were so great that I took the time to sit down and write an article to complain about it. I love writing and all, but I'm not the type that does this normally. But I was just so frustrated when I was in an Uber heading to an event that I opened up my laptop, designed all of these diagrams to describe what problems I'm perceiving, and took the time to write it up. And I figured, especially after this post got 1.2 million views and feedback from everyone from executives at Microsoft to diehard vibe coders, I thought it was worth sitting here and telling you guys a bit about my perspective and also hinting at the ways that I think we might be able to fix it. Do you know what doesn't need to be fixed, though? Today's sponsor. Do you know what doesn't need any fixing, though? Today's sponsor. Cool. Let's dive in. Cool. The UX problem with agentic development. Actually, a different cut here. I've been thinking a lot about these UX problems, and apparently others have too, which is why this post got 1.2 million views and everybody from Microsoft execs to vibe coders reacting to it. I have a lot to say about these UX problems. I've been thinking about them a ton, and I might actually have some solutions in mind as well. Do you know what doesn't have these UX problems, though? Today's sponsor. I want a better sounding version of that. Do you know what doesn't have any of these problems, though? Today's sponsor. Cool. Good enough. So, the UX problem with agentic development. In order to understand this problem, I think we have to go back in time a really, really long ways back 2 months ago, because this shit's been changing fast. This is what my setup would look like most of the time that I was working, for most of the time I've been writing code. I would have my terminal open with my dev server and some tab open for Git. I would have my IDE open with a workspace set up for the thing that I'm working on. And I have my browser open with one tab in localhost and one tab in GitHub. You know what I'll do? I'm going to do my least favorite thing. I'm going to make a second workspace and showcase this here. No, I want a new ghosty window. And that's great. Those all publishables? Okay, cool. Oh no, one of them was not. Fuck me. That's great. Fuck me. Give me a sec. I hate that my cloak broke. Clerk.com. Thankfully, it's just a dev key, but it's still fucking annoying. As what's been nice about the 2-computer setup is I don't worry about these things as much on that, but I've been using this computer again more and I regret it. Let's API keys. Really makes me check my fucking email to make a new key. You kidding? Two, 8, 9, 3, 7. Cool. Done. And now I can delete the old one. Nope. God, this is actually a perfect highlight of all of the problems I have with this setup right now. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay, I can go back to sharing again. Cool. You know what? I'll just pull the window over now. Need one. Drop. Cool. What's the port I have it set to? I have it hard-coded on 5296. Of course that goes there. Okay. It took much longer than I would have liked it to. Oh no, what's it? The secret key is correct. I just fucking changed it. It just didn't reload the environment variable. That's annoying. Cool, we can go with that. So here's a rough idea of what my setup used to look like. I had my terminal where I have my dev server here, and I have this empty one that's for Git stuff generally. So like TIG to see my Git history, all the usual stuff. Then I have my browser, which has the dev environment, and usually I have GitHub up for the same thing. So here's the GitHub repo for the same project. And then I have my editor where I'm actually writing code. In this case, I'm writing all my code in Markdown files. But this is roughly what my setup would look like the majority of the time I was developing. And honestly, it's not too bad. If I do the 3 figures up, you can see here are the surfaces that are split across this piece of work. When I'm working on this project, I have one editor, one browser, one terminal with 2 tabs. All fine and sensical. None of this is that bad right now. But what happens if I'm working on 2 things at once? Okay, let's try it. Maybe we do another set of tabs in here. Okay, but which one am I in at any given time? That's annoying. I'm a big tmux guy, so I used to set up tmux with different workspaces for the different projects. But then if I wanted 2 different things, like maybe I want to break this Git terminal or this dev terminal out to full screen, does that get a new tab? Maybe tabs aren't the right way to do this. Maybe I break this up into different windows for each project. Maybe this one will be for T3 chat, and this window will be for LAN. Okay, what about the browser though? Do we make new browser windows for the different projects, or do I make different tabs? How do I get to the right GitHub tab? How do I manage the back and forth between all of this? And then when I have 2 different projects in my editor, how do I know I'm in the right one? I've seen everything from people color coding their VS Code and codec, or I've seen everything from people color coding their VS Code and cursor instances to doing crazy stuff with their workspaces on their computer. And I'm here to tell you none of that works. Here's a fun thing. Let's just try moving things to a new desktop. Here's desktop 3. I'll move this terminal over. We'll manually open up VS Code here with the code command. Now I have those 2. Let's do the browser. Command tab to heal. Oh, it just moved me to the wrong place. I'll go back over, Command N. Now it's making a terminal. How do I get a new browser here? Great question. You have to go down to your dock, which I never use, right click, new window. Cool. Kind of works. What's even more fun is if you do this and you go to a tab where something else was open. So I'm going to Command tab to Helium from Workspace 3, where there is no browser in Workspace 3. And it switches to Workspace 2 and switches back to this focus. And even funnier, and I can't replicate it now, sometimes when I do this, it will go to the other window and it will flicker between 2 different windows back and forth a few times before it settles. On top of that, the actual navigation here is so slow. The 3-finger scroll to switch between things is off. Oh, did you see the flicker there where it switched from Helium back to the terminal just when I switched workspaces? Oh, I did it again there where I switched to LAN here. So I'm going to Command tab to Helium. Right now, before I do that, desktop 1 is a terminal, desktop 2 is a browser. Desktop 3 only has terminal and editor. So terminal 3, Command tabbing to Helium. It did this right. Watch out when I go back to 1. Are you kidding me? It's not just like little annoyances. These things make this unusable. So let's break this down a bit more from first principles. When your work was split across apps before, it was okay because your mental model was effectively everything here is contained under this project. Your terminal, your editor, and your browser are all part of your mental model for managing this one project. But since a lot of these models are slow and it's possible to run tasks that take over an hour now easily, I often have a job running with Codex that takes 1 to 2 hours just because I have some idea and I wanted to go test it out. That means doing just one thing at a time sucks because you're just sitting there scrolling Twitter as you wait for the build to finish. And by build, I don't mean literally running the build. I mean doing all of the building through the agents. So you end up spinning up other spaces. Maybe you have 3 different branches or work trees for one project, or maybe you're just working on different projects at the same time. That does not work great now, though, because previously, all of our apps were within the mindset. Remember, previously, we had multiple apps, multiple tabs and everything, but it was in our head as all of those were grouped under the project. But what happens when the projects but what happens when you have more than one project and now you have to split those projects across different apps? Are you going to make different windows for everything? How are you going to manage the different ones? What if terminal for project B dings when project 1's browser is open? How do you get to the right spot when you are dealing with all of these things running in parallel? I'm already seeing the pushback in chat. Things like, what about the context of switching models? What about Alt Tab on Mac OS, the custom one? None of that ends up mattering that much, especially the context shifting thing. When you are good at scoping your work and writing down exactly what you have in mind, it's not that hard to switch between, because otherwise you're just sitting there staring at it for 20 minutes to 2 hours. This is definitely an ADHD characteristic that this works well for me, but it does. I really like having 2 or 3 projects going with long-running tasks that I can swap between and see what's happening. But when you have to split that context across apps, it gets much more annoying. My dream would be a very simple set of desktops that have their own logical, consistent behaviors such that I could easily go between the 3 and have them set up perfectly. If in my dream world, each of these would be a different remote computer that I'm controlling from here. Sadly, just fixing window management isn't enough though, because as bad as this part is, and yeah, sure, window management will help, the horrible split of our projects across our apps, which hurts so much right now. The fact that our terminal, our IDE, and browser are separate is painful. And as I said, there's a lot of sub-problems. How do you choose how you split your terminal up? Do you use tabs or windows? Do you use tmux? What do you do about that? How do you know which terminal window you're in right now? Because a lot of these tools don't show you where you are when you're running something like Claude Code. Like here. Where am I? Where in the world am I right now? What project am I inside of with this terminal? No way of knowing. I can go set up a custom scan line, or I can go set up a custom status bar to tell me where I am here, but I shouldn't have to fucking do that. It's obnoxious. And when you're looking at a higher level between different browsers, knowing which one has the right GitHub repo is the most annoying thing in the world. The more you do this type of work, the more you start to feel these pain points, especially with stuff like port collision, auth and cookie collision, all of those types of things. Fun fact that I didn't know until recently. Did you know that localhost has all of the, or did you know that localhost's app storage data in the browser is shared across all ports? So if you have 3 things running on 3 different ports and they all edit the same cookies, they're all now very broken. What? I did not believe this until I experimented with it myself. But yes, localhost is one host. Thankfully, chat's making me feel less insane for saying this because I had no idea at all. Ports don't count as different hosts, which means multiple things under the same port, or which means multiple things under localhost all get grouped together, which breaks a ton of shit. And that's not even counting the fact that if you use a port that's different from what your project's built for, things like your auth redirection are probably going to break. Because if you set up your auth to redirect to either localhost 3000 or your prod domain, and now you have localhost 3012 because you're working on 3 things in parallel, good luck. It's broken now. And there's just so many of these things constantly. I have been running into this stuff every day I've been working with these tools, and they're getting more and more frustrating every day. I am trying to figure out where the right cut is. Okay, back to the cut part in a sec. I want to do the real world flow first. In my little essay thing, I wrote an example of like a real world story that I have experienced that I'm sure lots of others have too. Ding. You hear a notification sound from a Claude Code workflow finishing. Which terminal tab was it? I hop around my terminal windows and tabs for a bit. Finally, I can find it. It was Project B. Okay, now which browser was that? Oh, it got assigned to localhost 3001. Now my auth redirects are broken. I can't even sign into it. Which terminal tab is using 3000? Okay, it was Project A. I'll kill it. Where's the tab for Project B's dev server so I can rerun it with the right port? Ding. Another workflow just finished. It briefly grabs your attention, just long enough to lose track of whatever it was that you were just doing. I run into this multiple times a day right now. Feel like I'm going mad. This is not as simple as... I'm sure at least half of you are thinking of simple solutions to this that are like, oh, it's so easy. Just do X, Y, or Z. Just use something built, or just use Tailscale or move to Linux or all these things. No. Just no. Let's go through a handful of these and why I don't think they can help. Tmux is one that's been recommended to me a lot, which is really funny because I've been using GNU Screen since before most Tmux fans were born. I've been using it since I was 12, and now I am old. Multiplexing your terminal is an awesome thing, and I really, really like it. I used Tmux as my default terminal setup for the last 8 years, and I only didn't set it up on this MacBook to see how I would feel living without it. And the answer is not much better, not much worse. What about agent orchestration GUIs? As you guys know, I absolutely love the Codex UI, not the Codex CLI. It's fine, but I've been building a ton of stuff here, and you can see I am still doing that. I love this UI. I like it a lot. The fact that I have one app that lets me work between different projects for the generation side is great. But I still end up in the terminal for running the dev servers because the built-in terminal in this app is just garbage. I didn't even mention it in the video because it's so bad, and I don't like built-in terminals. And the diff view, as cool as it is, does not give me enough detail to ship confidently, so I still like to open my editor here and there. And of course, the browser problem. I still have to deal with the browser and all of the weird things around port collisions, redirects, all that and more. So while I love this app, it does not solve these problems. If anything, I feel them more now because solving the terminal side here, like making this part go away, makes me feel like I can do more. And because I feel like I can do more, I start to do more. And then the problems with these two get way worse really fast. Without Codex, I feel pretty hard limited to 2 things at a time. But with Codex, I can do like 4 or 5, but now these problems get way worse. How about an IDE with a built-in browser? This is honestly some of the closest I've seen. Something like Cursor with a built-in terminal, built-in Git workflows, and a built-in browser can get pretty damn far here. But I still need GitHub, because I need to see what's going on in the project, other PRs I need to review, stuff like that. And as good as the VS Code extension is, I use that more for doing the detailed review than for seeing what's going on. And then stuff like auth and auth redirects and trying to get your 1Password auth working properly inside of the Cursor browser in-app. If you haven't tried it, you don't know the pain. It's awful. And then, god damn it, like I had to try and get passkeys working in the in-app browser, and I almost went mad. And then there's people who sincerely recommend Docker, and I would sincerely recommend they get their heads checked out, because as cool as Docker is, it solves none of this at all. Good question. Why would I need passkeys in dev? Because in dev, I'm still signing in with my Google account, and my Google account is set up via a passkey. Could I set up an entirely different dev environment for all of my projects to make it friendly to the specific text editor and built-in browser that it has? Yeah. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to go to all of my like 17 projects and rebuild how they think about the core basics like auth, just so that I can use them in an in-app browser. That sounds insane to me. And here's my hottest take. Background agents. I think a big portion of why we are so hyped on background agents and the idea of like sending a Slack message to kick off a job, or having like in-app in Cursor, or having like in-app in Cursor and Codex, the cloud button that will kick it off into the cloud in the background. I legitimately think a lot of the hype around these features is because of how hard it is to do that type of parallel work locally. It does help with where the code is running and to an extent linking the GitHub part. But I honestly feel the way it does that is by just taking stuff from these other two categories and moving them into the browser as well. I don't think moving the editor experience or the terminal experience into the browser necessarily solves these things. If anything, what I've seen is that these cloud and background agent solutions just end up being a source of a bunch of PRs that don't get touched, because no one is going to look at this again after they run it. But when I'm running locally, I'm actually going to play with the code. I'm going to test how it works. I'm going to be more thorough and detailed when it's on my machine my way. That might change in the future as these background tools get better. But I feel like the background agent stuff is getting most of its popularity because of how bad these problems are. And at the same time, it's only solving the like terminal aspect of it, none of the rest. Yeah, the friction of having to pull it up and down just to try it in your setup is absurd. Totally agree. So I know what you're thinking now. Okay, Theo, you must have some genius, great solution to this problem, right? As I said at the bottom of my post, I'm not writing this to announce something or to sound smart. I really, really just want this fixed. I almost started to build an operating system to do just this. I need to be realistic, though. Can't do this one. I don't have the skills, time, or mental bandwidth to figure this out. I wrote this in hopes that I can inspire others to solve this problem. There is no single correct solution. We need lots of them. Experiment. It's never been easier to test out theories, build new workflows, feel this pain deeply, try to fix it, fail, try again, keep trying. We need to figure this out. We need to change how we use computers. I have a lot of feelings about this one. But since I wrote this, something very interesting happened. And I will emphasize, this is not for this video, but you should keep an eye out for another video in the very near future. I got one shot by Neri in Linux. I don't want to spoil this whole video because it's going to be a long and detailed one. But there's a good chance that the next time you see me in a video like this, I might be using something that looks very, very different. I haven't been this excited about how I use a computer for a very long time, and it's kind of insane that the exact problem I described has a UI that fits it perfectly. And of course, it's far from perfect. Most of these problems still apply. But man, I am so excited to show you guys what I've been doing on Linux. So yeah, crazy. You clicked on a video here for learning about AI stuff, and the answer might be Linux. And I can't wait to share more. But for now, I don't want you distracted by my solution. I want you all to think about your own. Build more in parallel, run into these problems, feel them, experience them. Then, and only then, start exploring how you can solve them yourself. I've built a lot of pieces to try and make these things better myself, but I'm much more excited to see what all of you guys cook, how you think about them, and whether or not you even agree with the problems that I'm perceiving here. So go build, go push your own limits, and see what comes out as a result. I really want a future where there's lots of solutions to these problems rather than just one crappy app that we're all stuck using. Make sure the future looks less like Windows and Mac and more like there's no reason we should only have one or two options like we do with operating systems. The world of the tools we use and the user experiences we have when building this way should be wide and diverse and exciting. And I am so hyped to see where this all goes. So go build, go play, go find your own solutions, and let us all know how it goes. I can't wait to see what you build. Until next time, peace, nerds. Fun. Yeah, Hyperland would cause more problems than it solves for me. I will be going in on that soon. I like where you're going with this. I like the idea of too many terminals in the background and like having like 50 terminals and then like one that's too focused on the text. But I make it look a little more real because like this is... How about this? I think this thumbnail would be perfect if I wasn't the YouTuber I am. But I try to not make some absurdly like grabbing element. I usually try to get the grabbing element through minimalism, not like glow effects. So we make it look a little more real while emphasizing that there are too many terminals. There's definitely a direction here. Frank did some passes too. This is fun. I think I'm leaning in the fake terminals, like too many of them direction right now. But these are good. You guys are getting good at this. This is actually really cool to see that my community now is better at thumbnails than the average YouTuber. Don't be sorry, Maria. You're fucking killing it with this. And the idea of multiple terminals in the background is something I had thought of, and you did a really good job. Yeah, honestly, the last one, we should save that for the stream. Yeah. I want to use... If you get me like a full 16:9 of this one, I would definitely use that for stream. Ben and I have to do a lot of things to give people pick thing access. Soon, TM. I'll push Ben to get that all fixed soon so we can all have that. Because I do want to do that. I want an easy to access bucket of assets for people to do things like this. Are those real sweaters? I would love to have one of those. I don't know if I missed your gifts, NC, but I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you so much for the 5-bomb. Alpha with the 3 months of tier 3 for 3 months. Love it. 333. And then Suspaden, good to see you, man. Using screen since 12 and now you're old is also you. God, we're all old. Yep. We really are. How many losses do I have? Oh, God, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Ugh. At least you're not asking computers. You're just asking laptops. That makes it a little easier. Yeah, I'll just use my editor's easiest thing. Oh, I got to clear out these desktops. This will drive me mad. I hate having multiple desktops on Mac so much. It just makes everything harder. Okay, there's one dead. Kill it. Close. Close. Back here. Close. Good. Okay, so I have my MacBook Pro 16 returning. I'm almost... I couldn't do the 16. So I have those. I have my framework. I have a Lenovo Legion. I think it's the 7i with a RTX 4080. This is my like... It's also huge. It's a 16-inch. This is my like render rig for when I'm traveling. Or just like I need an OBS setup somewhere, which happens a lot. Then I have my Asus... Fuck, I mentioned it earlier. I forgot what it's the... I think it's the Zephyr. G14, I think, is the model for it. With RTX 5060 Ti, if I recall. This is my I Like Games rig that I use. Like, I bought this specifically because I was about to travel and I was going to be away on the day the new Skate came out and I wanted to be able to play it. So I bought this for that purpose with the plan of returning it and ended up liking it more than I expected. And the plan was basically I would have my MacBook, I'd have this, and then I would have this as like a stream PC. Also, this was my, like, when I moved here, the Lenovo was my stream rig for about a year before I had enough additional computer parts to build something else. And when I say render rig, I don't necessarily mean rendering my video as I'm editing. I mean rasterizing and doing all of my OBS stuff. I mean exporting files. I mean chopping them automatically with my scripts and FFmpeg. Yeah. Oh, I'm not done with laptops yet. Don't worry. We're still going through this list. I got some old ThinkPad somewhere. I have a 15-inch, or was it, what was the last MacBook? It was like, they did the weird 16-inch Intel, right? It's awful, but I have that. I think that's all of them. This is just laptops. Yeah, the 2019. Cool. And then I have the like HP ZenBook, or the HP ZBook G1A, 128 gig on the way. This one shows up tomorrow. So when all is well in the world, what I will end up with is that guy is my main MacBook. This guy is my Neri box. This guy for gaming. I need to change the fucking formatting here to be Markdown. Cool, there we go. The Zephyr for gaming. This one for streaming. I'll say this one, games plus OBS while traveling. And yeah, I won't touch the rest. Like these are the only ones I would have. And it's like, these are the two I use. This is one I have for when I want a game. And this is one I have for when I like need to stream in specific places. So like, I'm going to have another room with another studio in this apartment soon. And when I do, I'll probably use the Legion as the stream PC in there. It's just like a rig that can stream. Do I know any laptops with good speakers? Yes, the MacBook. The only option is the MacBook. Every other laptop speakers are kind of garbage. But if you want it, like if the goal is loud enough to play to a whole class, you're going to need to just get a fucking Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, I'll pull out the ThinkPad, don't worry. Your latest. Ooh. Yeah, I should buy one of these. Oh, they're out of stock. Fuck. So 16 inches too big by a lot. It's like if I want a big computer, I don't want a MacBook, is what I've learned about myself. Image engineering is... I actually really wanted this literally yesterday, but Vercel's price changing on Vercel's image optimization makes it fine. You still have to unfuck a bunch of things with it because like they don't document how to use it outside of Next or Nuxt very well. But if you work around it, it's fine. Like my solution is just abusing Vercel. For the rest of the world, honestly, you should just abuse Vercel. It's the easiest option. This is what I was thinking, 3D Factor. This is actually very funny. I might try this later. The MacBook Air 15-inch is too big too. I hate the 15 and 16 MacBooks. They're just too big. And the 13-inch Air is close, but I don't like they made it so much chunkier now. And I really hate the 60 hertz screen. I have to have a 120 hertz display now. Every single thing I use regularly is 90 or 120. So having like a 60 hertz display just hurts me now. It hurts. Cool. I did that. What do we want to do next? Let's see if there's anything priority enough. I feel like the Namecheap one is a free vid. I should do this. What's the community note? Yeah, this one's a video. Let's do this. This will be the last one for the day. I don't have any of my M1 or M2 Max anymore. I gave them all to employees and friends. Fan thing. I hate those fan things. I would figure out what is using so much CPU that's causing it to overheat and find ways to minimize the CPU utilization. Yeah, I'm so excited to do the Neri rig vid. Zovi, coming soon. Thank you, SEO Food, for the sub. Let's get started on this one. Cool. I'm not going to lie. I've kind of been through it with domains throughout my life. I've had a lot of problems with domains, not with the domains themselves, but with the registrars. Almost all of my important domains have had some weird crap go on at some point in time, from losing my t3.gg domain because of a weird registration mishap with one of the domain providers, to absolutely crazy things going on with my .li domain. Oh God, I've been through it with this stuff. The two-letter TLDs in particular are very dangerous because those tend to be country TLDs, not... yeah, I need to redo this whole intro. Fuck me. Okay. I'm going to be real with you guys. I have had so many problems with domains. A significant number of them are admittedly skill issues, but even more of them weren't. The amount of times I've had domains get taken from me for reasons that I had no control or oversight over, just to be held ransom for thousands of dollars in fees because some provider from some random country that happens to operate the .gg TLD decided that this day they wanted to charge me more money. And that one was... ugh. Did you know you have to renew those domains over a month before they're going to expire? Or you have to pay this crazy fee? I've been through it with country code TLDs and domain registration in general. Almost every domain I have, I've had some issue with at some point, but none of them go quite as far as the story I'm here to tell you guys today. Because poor Snigda had her domain taken from her by Namecheap and then got sued for it. Yes. Namecheap sued her personally. I've never seen anything quite like this. And the story is as frustrating as it is heartbreaking. It has massively impacted her business and the work that she is doing. And I think it is a good showcase of how risky domains are as a surface area and what you have to be considerate of as you build a business nowadays. There's a lot to think about here, and honestly, I hope you never have to. In an ideal world, you'll never have any problems like this, and as such, you'll never have to worry about it. But if you are building real products that have real websites, there's a chance you'll have to worry about this. And hopefully, going through the story here will make you less likely to get screwed the way that this poor founder was. As someone who's personally had bad experiences with Namecheap, I'm going to be a bit biased here because I want to watch them burn. So know that going in. Do you know what I've never had any problems with, though? Today's sponsor. Fucking Fammy. This feels like a bad time to own BillGates.sexy. Yeah. FaZe, leave this in the video if it fits. You have my permission. Let's dive in. A cautionary tale for fellow startup founders. Namecheap just sued her personally. There's a community note because there are people who are upset. Some amount of it's real, some amount of it's just sexism. We'll get to all of that, don't worry. But first we need to actually read what she has to say. In January of 2025, Namecheap shut down my company's website globally. I was forced to file a temporary restraining order against them to get our site back. An American court ruled in my favor. This is a state of Arizona court motion. The court, having considered Ink Mango, in this case the plaintiff's motion pursuant to this litigation for temporary restraining order and good cause appearing, it is hereby ordered that plaintiff's motion is granted. So this is, you can keep the domain. Temporary restraining order means that's yours. The domain is for her business, The Juggernaut, on thejuggernaut.com. As she puts it, she runs a Juggernaut. It's a startup that tells powerful South Asian stories. When Namecheap took them offline, the business came to a screeching halt. Growth, usage, and word of mouth is a startup's lifeblood. They lost all of it in a few weeks. That is so hard for any business, but especially something like this where it's so deeply tied to the website. There are so many businesses that I only know how to interface with via the website and like typing in the URL. When I want music stuff, I still, for better or worse, go to Pitchfork. I'll use my Helium browser because this is what I use for this type of stuff. But like when I want to go see what's going on in music, I type in PI and it goes to Pitchfork. When I want to go check in on some code, I type GI and I go to GitHub. When I want to ask a question about something going on in the world or just general intelligence stuff, I type T3 and I go to T3 chat, the best AI chat ever made. Highly recommended if you haven't checked it out. So losing the thing that people autocomplete their brains to and their browsers to is really, really painful. I don't know how we would bounce back if we lost the T3 chat domain. Our entire web presence vanished overnight. People couldn't read articles. Customers were furious. We lost paying subscribers and couldn't acquire any new ones, especially in one of our biggest acquisition months. We lost years of SEO that we had painstakingly built. That one is really, really bad too. We've been fucked with this with stuff like T3 chat. To this day, T3 chat does not place properly in Google search results, primarily because we were incorrectly placed on a filter for spam and scam sites because some haters of mine during a specific drama with a specific media encoding library decided to go false flag all of our domains. It took multiple days and me pulling a lot of strings to get these register. It took multiple days and many a string pull for me to get our sites unlisted from these spam sites. It was horrible. Even like Spam House and ones that are meant to be the good ones ruined our ability for people to do shit. And we were at the point where users of Upload Thing, our file upload service, which if you're not familiar with, one of the coolest things we built, it's the easiest way to do file upload. Our CDN domain for where assets are resolved got hit by one of those filters because, again, people were falsely flagging our domains to these different spam collectors and providers that give these lists to companies like ISPs and whatnot. And even though we got it pulled within 24 hours, there were multiple ISPs in Europe that kept blocking upload thing URLs. So a handful of our users that had customers in Europe couldn't resolve assets like PDFs, images, whatever they were hosting, because some random asshole reported us to some random asshole company that got us flagged. It's actually insane how easy it is to ruin a company by doing weird shit to their domain. Here's the story for when this happened back in October. Spamhaus false flagged us. Specifically, our domain was listed as being for phishing and criminal activity. Obviously a false flag. And our SEO to this day is fucked because of this one thing. There are all of these players in the domain space, be it your registry and your registrar, which are two different things that own different parts of the process, be it the governing body for the TLD, if you have a TLD that's like a .gg, .li, .uk, the governing entities for those is a whole separate thing. And then you have these spam lists that are published and sold to companies to determine which websites should or shouldn't be auto-blocked. The fact that there are so many layers here where any one of them deciding they don't like you or failing you can destroy your whole business is horrifying. You know the XKCD dependency comic where it's like, here's everything that we're building on top of stuff, and on here is like a solid, well-funded thing like Linux, and then here's something that's smaller and less well-funded that we rely on. Every website is this, but on this bottom section, you have the registry, the registrar, and then this tiny little thin one is more like a toothpick. It's Spamhaus and other spam and site like reputation lists. And these pieces can break and destroy your life at any point in time if you run a company. As happened to poor Snigda here. Shutting down a news organization also raises serious First Amendment and free speech concerns. Absolutely agree. The fact that you can use this as a method of censorship, as is what happened to me, people were unhappy about my takes around a specific open source library's governance and decided that I should not be allowed to run a business. People went as far as saying I deserved it and I knew what I was asking for daring to say that a specific open source library probably shouldn't be dunking on random contributors and funders for it on Twitter. Crazy take, I know, but the fact that I donated $5,000 to a library's development and then had issues with how they dunked on people on Twitter should not cost me my company. That is censorship. And the funniest part with that one was that people were accusing me of censoring the project for having an opinion and then went off to legitimately try and censor me using weird levers and power grabs that should absolutely be illegal. I am full on okay with the idea of criminal prosecution for anyone who does shit like this. Be it the name cheap person who's trying to sue this poor girl, be it the company that is abusing copyright law to cause this, or be it the individuals knowingly filing false flags to harm businesses. That should be criminal. Period. Back to this poor situation. We were in mid-conversation. When this happened, they were in mid-conversation with investors, and they had to suspend that because the investors would go check the site, and it wasn't even fucking there. One investor even messaged me on LinkedIn asking if I had shut down my business because he couldn't find it online anymore. Yeah. Do you know how hard that conversation must be to explain to an investor who's possibly put millions of dollars into your business? Yeah, sorry you can't see our website right now. I'm actually in the middle of a lawsuit. That's not what they invested into you for. They didn't invest into you so you could win lawsuits. They invested in you so you could win, period. Despite multiple messages to Namecheap support, the company was unresponsive. So she, poor thing, had to sue Namecheap personally to recover the domain. Now, because of that, Namecheap is suing her back. Namecheap's claim is that the domain was registered in her name, even though it was used for her company. This is very, very common. Most companies, also, I'm pretty sure most domains require that you have a personal business contact as one of the parts of the ICANN registration process. Like, you have to have a name registered. The fact that her name is a name registered to this domain, and that is not just the company, is their excuse for suing her instead of the company, is absurd. And it's not like they're suing her LLC or some entity. They are suing her personally. I've already been saying things that can get me in trouble. I'm going to say one more. This is a strategy that has been weaponized by a lot of religious cults, in particular, the Church of Scientology. The only reason the Church of Scientology is a tax-exempt organization in the United States is because they would personally sue every single person they found working for the IRS. They would instruct members of the Church of Scientology to personally reach out to people that were working for the IRS and sue them as individuals. None of the lawsuits ever succeeded, but all of them wasted enough time for the IRS employees that the IRS was going to collapse under the weight of half their employees being busy in these bullshit court cases. So the church so the IRS gave up and gave the church their fucking tax-exempt status. And they did it by doing this bullshit. Using the courts to crush your competition, not by beating them with the law, but by distracting them with the process, is horrifying. And if you have any doubt about anything I just said, you can look it up. This is very well known. In 1993, the Church of Scientology and the IRS reached a landmark secret settlement ending decades of intense legal battles, granting the church tax-exempt status as a religion in exchange for dropping over 2,500 lawsuits against the agency, most of which were against individual employees of the agency. Actual insanity. So I guess that Namecheap and the Church of Scientology have more in common than I would have guessed. Crazy. Namecheap also claims that it had broad discretion to shut down your domain, quote, at any time for any reason. That's part of their terms. They claim they have the right to do that at any point. Horrifying. And that creates massive uncertainty for founders. And now Namecheap is trying to win exorbitant legal fees from her, despite the court saying that they deserve the domain back. So again, the court said she deserves the domain. Namecheap declined that and is now countersuing her and trying to squeeze legal fees out of her. The original CEO of Namecheap had tweeted previously saying that he'll get the domain back, primarily because Gary Tan jumped in and asked questions. In the meantime, properly geofence India from your core domain and do not work around this as a redirect to another domain from your core domain, and he'll temporarily bring it back. So specifically what it seems like happened was that in India, the bullshit trademark case about Juggernaut, because another company claimed to own the Juggernaut trademark, sued her and forced Namecheap to remove the domain from her, even though that ruling was only applicable in India, and other courts, specifically the court that both her company and Namecheap are incorporated in the United States, went against that ruling. The India courts firmly stated that this domain cannot be owned by her. So the workaround was that the CEO personally said, as long as you don't use this domain in India, we'll give it back to you. And then Gary Tan jumped in. This sounds like what you're demanding is even beyond what the New Delhi courts and the plaintiff advocated for. This idea that the domain should not work at all within India is not what the original court case pushed for in New Delhi. But Namecheap just wants to wipe their hands clean, and technically speaking, they can do whatever they want because, again, of how the licensing and like but again, they're a company that can choose whether or how. But again, Namecheap's a company. They can choose if and how they provide you services. And it seems in this case, they decided to just put the work on the founder instead of make a service work well for the specific details of this ruling. And it was significantly easier for them to just remove the domain or force her to apply one rule to the domain that makes the experience a lot worse. Because technically speaking, there's no reason she shouldn't be able to redirect the juggernaut.com domain in India to something else that is within her trademark rights there. But again, an American court operating against two American companies ruled that Namecheap needs to do things a certain way, and they overrode that. Namecheap's valued at $1.5 billion, and Porcnigda hasn't raised the Series A yet, so she has way less than 3 mil, almost certainly, probably less than $1 mil in the bank for this. So that's like, you can't deal with that. I'm going to keep fighting in court. I refuse to be intimidated. As a YC alum, it feels like it's my responsibility to warn others. This can happen to you. If you'd like to help, please amplify this thread. Then the old CEO came in and claimed that this is public lies and manipulation of the truth. Things aren't going to get any easier. That's a threat. That's a threat from the CEO of a billion-dollar company. The case started in 2019, and ruling after ruling has been made against you. You even stopped responding at some point because you thought you could ignore your responsibility. Settled means you faced the facts and gave in to the demands. You've made this whole situation worse for yourself now. Oh shit, did he reply to this? Here's all of the court orders. Okay, so the party suing is Juggernaut Books. Where are they based out of? Juggernaut Books does online publishing of digital books and also has started doing physical books afterwards. Whereas the Juggernaut is South Asian Stories You Need to Know, like clearly a news site. Is there some overlap between a book publisher and a news site? Yeah. But in American courts, this would never stand. These are obviously distinct enough entities that no one's going to reasonably confuse the two, which is the general litmus test for trademark law here. The Juggernaut is the news site. Juggernaut Books is a different entity that is the company doing the lawsuit. I think personally it's a bit absurd that you can prevent the use of a generic term like Juggernaut for things that aren't even in competition with you. Yeah, absurdity. Let's see this US court one. Yeah, like, this is a very clear order from the U.S. courts. It is further ordered that defendant Namecheap Inc., its officers, agents, directors, affiliates, servants, employees, and all persons acting in concert with them are hereby enjoined from preventing or frustrating plaintiff's use of its registered domain, thejuggernaut.com, provided that the primary domain is geofenced to prevent access to the primary domain from users in India. That was the only restriction. I even think this is stupid, that like the American court is making rulings on other courts like this, but that's the only counter argument that Namecheap had. More callouts here that they are specifically enjoined from restricting access to the domain or indirectly causing the expiration of the domain, which is another thing Namecheap loves to do, is make it too easy to let your domain expire so they can charge you crazy fees. I've experienced that. Many others have too. And here's a US counterclaim. Let's see how this one went. This was filed by this is filed by the attorneys. This isn't a court document. This is the attorneys. Let's see how the courts responded to that, though. Oh, weird. They didn't include the court's response to their counterclaim. They included the counterclaim Namecheap took the time to include their counterclaim, but they did not take the time to include the court's response by the looks of it. I wonder why. It's also sus that this is only the lawsuit Namecheap filed against the company and not the separate one they filed against her. This is a great one. This is the legal mail that was sent from the legal firm for Namecheap to these guys. This letter follows Mr. Brycer's November 6, 2025 telephone call with my partner, Eugene Rome, during which Mr. Brycer expressly communicated on behalf of your client, Sning to Sir, that 1. Ink Mango has made a settlement demand. 2. Miss Sir does not appreciate being personally named. 3. Miss Sir demands that Namecheap dismiss its counterclaim within 10 days. And 4. If we do not, Miss Sir intends to, quote, go to Twitter to talk about the case. Because this threat was affirmably conveyed by counsel as part of your settlement communication, the conduct is attributed to counsel as well. For the reasons below, the threat is improper, unprotected, and exposes Miss Sir to potential civil liability and your firm to both civil and ethical consequences. This is them sending their lawyers after her and her lawyers, saying, if you actually go to Twitter like you said you will, we will sue you for threatening us. Insanity. How the fuck did the CEO post this Google Drive thinking this would clear him in any way? I was actually expecting to like see some stuff in here like, okay, that's fair. I see the other side. No, I'm going to go fucking yell at him for this. Is he still CEO? It is done. So, like, that last bit here, to be very clear, for the reasons below, the threat is improper, unprotected, and exposes Miss Sir to potential civil liability and your firm to both civil and ethical consequences. That is the Namecheap legal firm threatening Miss Sir and her legal firm. Because they see we will go public as a threat, they now feel in the right making their own. Are you joking? Jesus Christ. So, the next question you have, and it's the right one, where do you go now? Great question. I am going to drop the hot take that any business that makes the majority of their income through fees and margins on domains is probably not the best place to register your domains. I would not trust GoDaddy particularly more than I would trust Namecheap. If those margins are how you make your money, then these businesses, or if these margins are how you make your money, then you're going to squeeze every fucking penny you can. And I've seen this a lot with these registrars. Even like GoDaddy, I guarantee, I haven't been to this website in a minute. I'll put money on it. The word AI occurs in the first 2 sentences or the header. Because they're going to do anything they can to make money. Oh, huh. They actually haven't. Oh, there we go. Build your site at the speed of AI. I was wondering where it would be hidden on the page. The point I want to make here is that, like, they have to do dirty things to win because there isn't much margin to be had. Because the domain registrars, like the places we go to buy domains, those are not the lower level registry. They're effectively resellers. Think of domain registrars less like a Walmart or a Trader Joe's and more like a gas station. Like, there's only so many suppliers and everyone's buying from it. It's really, really hard to make a profit off of just gas, which is why most gas stations make their money by selling other things like in their little convenience stores and whatnot. That's like essential for them to make meaningful margins. Domains are very similar because all of these domain companies are buying from the same 3 or 4 registries. The ones that make all of their money off of that margin can't really be trusted, and they'll always do crazy stuff. Like if you see a crazy deal, like your first year is only 1 cent, like here, a .com for only 1 cent for the first year. The reason they do that is because they charge 20 to 30% more than everybody else for the second year, the third year, and the fourth year, and the math works out that it ends up being profitable over time. I personally only like working with registrars that have, personally, I only like working with registrars that have 2 specific traits. 1, they make their money elsewhere. And 2, they're sensitive to their reputation on Twitter. So again, the registrars that need the margins money are not the ones I would rely on. The ones I'm more interested in are the ones that make money elsewhere. So that's trait 1. Starting with this point, what am I referring to? When I mention Cloudflare or Vercel, what comes to mind? It's probably not the domains product. Every domain I've personally registered in the last 3 years has been either on Vercel domains or it has been on Cloudflare's domains. Neither of these companies make money off of their domain selling. If anything, I'm pretty certain that Vercel loses money because they've been too generous about weird disputes. Like, I had problems with my .gg domain on Vercel because they didn't set up the registry process properly for that specific TLD at the time. That's all been fixed and then some. But at the time, it was bad and cost some fees. And Vercel just ate the fees for me. And that's not just because I'm Theo. That's because I was one of 4 people who were affected by this particular implementation failure, and they refunded all 4 of us those fees that were in the thousands of dollars. So that just was a raw cost they ate because Vercel is not trying to make money off the domains. It's not like, oh, we lost this money off of these domains. Now we have to go sell 5,000 domains to make up for it. For them, it's much more so, we lost the money on these domains, but we'll probably make the money back on these customers over time because these same customers are buying other things on our service. Somebody said, what about country TLDs, though? Cloudflare Vercel don't offer those. They don't? Looks like GG isn't offered because GG is an evil one. I would argue if they're not offered on Cloudflare or Vercel, you probably shouldn't buy them because they're full of catches. I cannot tell you how many problems I've had with my .gg domain. They do have .ai, even though that's a country TLD. So you have some options there. But CCTLDs are evil and you should avoid them at all costs. The other reason I'm mentioning Vercel, though, is point 2. They care about their reputation, specifically on Twitter. I am now at the point where it's really hard for me to justify using a product or service that doesn't care about their reputation because it's such a strong lever to have. Oh, Theo, you just have that because you have followers. No. In fact, earlier today, someone came into my chat that I remember specifically because despite having under 50 followers on Twitter, he caused one of the most hellish days in the history of Vercel because he had a bug in his code that caused AstroCode to redirect loop and do thousands of server calls before it would eventually die. That caused him to get a random like $400 bill on Vercel. And then Vercel's default support didn't refund him because they didn't understand it. So then he posted on Twitter about it. It blew the fuck up and he got refunded. He got personal support from the CEO and from Lee Rob when he was still there. He got patches in Astro. He got patches in Vercel. A ton of things changed as a result of this random low level, or a lot of actual things changed as a result of this random developer complaining on Twitter in a digestible way because Vercel cares a lot about how people feel about them on Twitter. Believe me, I know better than anyone. Vercel cares too much about these things. And as much as that sucks, that they care too much about Twitter, it's a lever you have as a customer. And with things as important as your domains, you need levers because there's so many against you. The fact that a random hater can go false flag you to a bunch of spam trackers is enough a reason that you need leverage back. You need ways to, for better or worse, exploit the other party here because they will be quick to do the same to you and others will be even quicker to use them against you. So who would I recommend based on these things? I know we don't all love Vercel, but Vercel for domains is pretty solid. They have annoying rules around CNAMEs that makes it stupid, but for the most part, Vercel is good here. Cloudflare can be too, but I've had some weird issues with Cloudflare, in particular with like name servers and subdomains, and like they're on Cloudflare, it's very hard to take a subdomain from a domain you have on Cloudflare and have that subdomain go somewhere else. Very unreliable. So for those reasons, I personally lean Vercel between these two, but there are lots of other really good options. One that I'm really fond of that is a sponsor, not of today's video or any of the content now, but they've sponsored in the past, and I hope they continue in the future. DN Simple. DN Simple, yes, they make their money on margins for domains, but they have slightly higher margins because they have a very different service. It's their goal to make it as easy as possible to manage everything to do with your domains via your code. And they're selling their control plane and their SDK as much as they're selling domains. But more importantly, they're just a small team of people based out of Florida, if I recall. I did a call with the founders because they wanted to sponsor, and it was the husband and wife founders of the company wearing their branded t-shirts, really excited to meet me because they've watched my videos and like them. Every employee at the company is an actual engineer. So when you go to support, you're talking to real engineers. And their SDK is awesome. Like you can just tell when you read the SDK, it's like, okay, they're devs. They get it. They understand. And since they're smaller, they're inherently going to be much more sensitive to their reputation. If the first time you hear about DN Simple, it's because someone had a bad experience, they're screwed. So as much as I hate to say, you should make my sponsor feel bad if they screw you, you should. If any of my sponsors make your life harder or screw you or hurt your business, tell me about it and be loud about it publicly. I don't want sponsors that cause problems for my viewers. If anyone in my audience has an issue with any of my sponsors, please tell me so that I can rethink my relationship with them and use my leverage to pressure them because it's important. It's really important. And I personally know that there. So for all of those reasons, DN Simple's a very good bet. I also know a ton of people who have been using them heavily, including but not limited to the Linux Foundation. So they seem like a reliable bet. I wouldn't worry about them. The one other, and I've heard a little bit of mixed stuff here, but for the most part, I think it's good. I have had good experience. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. And while DN Simple didn't sponsor, use soydev.link/DNSimple to make sure they know you came from me. It helps. Thank you. Anyways. There's one last name that I've been hearing come up a lot, and if I look at my chat right now, it's half of it. It's a little scary to me, but I think they're fine. Pork bun. Pork bun, if I recall, is part of... What's the cow company that, like, they're all part of? Two cows, yeah, sorry. I thought Two Cows had a relationship with Pork Bun. Do they not? I was under the impression that Pork Bun was a Two Cows company. Was I wrong about that? Are they really not? Huh, no, I'm misremembering. Cool. For some reason, I thought Pork Bun had a relationship with Two Cows. Turns out they don't. I just misremembered. I have a couple of domains on Pork Bun. I've had no problems. From what I have heard, most people haven't. And they also, the very least in terms of reviews, seem to care a lot about how much people like them and use them. So I would bet that if you had a problem and you went and complained on Trustpilot or on Twitter, there's a good chance they'll hop in and deal with it. I do love their Twitter. They are great. Someone else had... This is a fun back and forth that happened related to all of this a few days later. Someone had their domain that they were searching for on GoDaddy get purchased as they were searching and then resold to them, like a classic rug pull. Insanity. And it should absolutely be illegal. I agree with Britain there. But I don't agree with Britain saying that you should always use Namecheap because Google Domains is dead. I said use Vercel, or Cloudflare, or some company that doesn't make their income off upcharging for domains. Porkbun is fine too. Josh Wright Community came in and said, careful with Porkbun. If you have any valuable domains, he had a problem. She links to here. It's going to email that $15,000 of domains is past expiration. That shouldn't be. Auto renews on credit cards attached. Get this error. He loses 15K of domains. He's not going to be happy. So he said that. And Porkbun hopped in. We try to make it right, but sometimes you can't fix a wrong. We're humans trying to do our best, and although we strive for perfection, haven't quite gotten there yet. We obviously have many tens of thousands of valuable domains used and owned by many thousands of users who trust us with their assets every day. So they linked to their tweets replying to these issues here. Registry suspended domains are done at the registry level by the registry and not the registrar. Again, the separation between these two is confusing to people. The registry is who determines what is allowed on a given TLD, and then they sell that to a registry, and then they sell that to a registrar like Porkbun, Namecheap, or any of these that can then sell it to you. So the registrar is the company that works with the registry to get your domain made, but the registry has to be okay with it. And the registry can have all sorts of weird rules, regulations, and things they want to do. And occasionally, if the registry doesn't like you or the thing about what you did or how your registrar is working with them, then you get screwed because there's all of these layers. But a registrar blocking your account from renewing other domains because a TLD registrar suspended a domain with an invalid information request happens at the registrar level. And TLD registrar, what he means is a registry. So the registry at the bottom forced him to suspend, so registry at the bottom requested that Porkbun suspend one of his domains, and in the process, they locked his whole account, which sucks. That was on an unused domain, and it blocked his ability to renew other domains. We're sorry that we lost your trust. It was a series of unfortunate events, but what happened will not be able to happen again. As a builder and business owner yourself, I'm guessing you can appreciate that things sometimes can and do go wrong. We'll fix what caused your issue and we'll do better, but it's unfortunate that it happened to you and I apologize that it did. This type of ownership is why I'm okay with recommending them still. It's clear they care. It's clear they're trying. I have a lot of respect for that. And the ownership of we did this wrong, we screwed this up, is also really rare. I've never seen Namecheap admit that they fucked something up before. You know what? I'll put that as a point here. This is possibly the biggest, most important point, because if they can't admit that they screwed up, the likelihood that they fix the thing is much lower, and the likelihood that they sue you is much higher. So as Maria put it, Apple would never do something like this. I agree. I would never register a domain through Apple. I'm thankful they don't offer that product. But as long as they make money other ways, they care about their reputation, and they admit when they're mistaken and they screw up, you're probably good. So everything in this list is totally fine for me. There's probably others that meet these requirements and are solid. GoDaddy does not. 2Cows does not. And sure as shit, Namecheap does not. So, yeah. I think I've said all I have to here. Be careful with your domains and make sure they're registered with somebody you can actually trust. And until next time, peace, nerds. Oh, hover.com is the one that 2Cows owns. Thank you for that. Cool. We got 3 vids. Not bad. Can't complain, all things considered. Sorry I've been neglectful, YouTube chat. Missed a funding. Thank you, Winter's Rain. Thank you for joining the T3 Club. Thank you, everybody on Twitch, for hanging out. We got Dark Zero here with the Tier 1, Malicious with the Prime. NC, I think I thanked you already for the 13, regardless. Appreciate it. Maybe it's one of your projects to Convex. Guess you're rewriting again. Yep. It's hard to beat once you're there. Oh shit, SEO food. I missed you earlier. Thank you for that. Thank you all again. I'll look at this later. Thank you. Let's figure who we're rating. Think we'll do Mordecai. Have fun with them. I might go live Friday. If not, I'll definitely be here this weekend. We were hoping Sonnet 5 would happen, and it didn't. I legitimately thought it would happen today, so I'm sorry for the clickbait, but it should have happened, and it didn't. Thank you, Rising Phoenix, for the sub. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll be back very soon. Goodbye, nerds. Bye to YouTube as well.